called the 5-Star Shout Out.
I'm not gonna say it because I don't believe in it. I don't believe in. You can't make you know what I'm talking about.
Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, everybody. Ladies and gentlemen, how's everybody doing out there? It's your boy Dennis Holmes from the Ignorant Thinker Podcast. I'm here with the Chocolate Girl.
Okay. Good morning. Sorry about that, y'all. Good morning. Good morning, Dennis. Good morning, everybody. Thank you for watching The Side, Jawn. We're here on Saturday, my favorite day of the week.
Yes, y'all. And just like we do for y'all each and every Side, Jawn, we try to bring y'all a special guest on. This is a special episode of Putting It on the Pod / Coming to the Stage. And we also have an actor in the building. I want to introduce y'all to Wutchamccallit. He's in the house.
Appreciate y'all. Thank y'all for having me. How y'all feeling today?
We're feeling pretty good. Today. Now,
great.
We usually start off every show and we ask, how was your week? So since you are a guest, we got to ask you, how was your week?
Busy. Busy week. As you know, I'm a comedian, working comedian now, professionally. So just busy, man. Packed with shows. Got another 2 slated for this weekend. One tonight, one tomorrow morning. So just trying to stay busy as possible.
That's good. That's good to hear. Chocolate Girl, how was your week?
Week was great. Have no complaints. I'm just glad to be here. I was excited for this show so I can get to meet Wutchamccallit and talk to him about things. So it's been a very busy week, but I love being busy. Love having goals, setting goals, meeting goals, crossing things off my to-do list. It's exciting. So good week. How about you, Dennis?
Well, I had a death in the family this week. So that was the bad thing that happened to me. Then one of my homegirls, she had a death as well. So,
yeah.
Sorry to hear that.
It's back to back. This is back to back bad things that happened, but it's been some good things that went on this week as well. So at the same time, I've been, praying, trying to get better, trying to make sure things still work out right. Like I tell everybody all the time, man, every day ain't guaranteed. So, make every day your best day. That's what I try to tell everybody all the time. You never know what may happen. But besides all that, though, like I said, we got a special guest in the building. And like one of the first questions I had for you, right? Because this is what I wanted to know. And I always ask people this that when in the comedy. What made you go into comedy?
Okay. Well, what made me get into comedy is actually because I was looking to actually get into acting. And along my searches, I was just fortunate to find. Well, I seen an ad that came up for comedy college.
About
Right?
2 Ray.
Yeah, 2 Ray and Keith from Up the Block. All right.
Yeah.
So they have this thing that they host, and is at Temple University. That whereas though hundreds of comedians, inspiring, less inspiring, all have kind of ventured through there. Whether if you have many years in the game, or whether if you are somebody is just starting off like myself, it's just a way to, one, get some of the basic skills down. If you're somebody like me who has divvied into like comedic acting, and also I will I'm not sure if I will get into it, but I'll probably, if I could find a window to kind of explain the difference between comedic being a comedian and being a comedic actor, is
Yeah, you
definitely
can.
vastly two different lanes. But yeah, just somebody that like myself who's been a comedic actor but didn't know really what was the first thing to do as far as transitioning to an actual comedian, being a stand-up comedian and things like that. They just went through this process and it kind of unlocked my brain on how to write jokes and what avenues to tap into to actually write jokes and things like that. Now they can't teach you how to be funny, but they can give you the formulas that, if you naturally have the capabilities, could possibly set you on the path of particular level of greatness.
That's good. That's good to hear. That is definitely good to hear. Now, so how long you been a comedian for? What, couple years now?
I would like to say that, but actually only a few months.
Only a few. Okay, so you just graduated. That's good.
I just graduated comedy college in January, but I hit the ground running. The classes started back in October, and I think just like any comedian, you should start hitting the open mics, get into the open mic market. And I'm somebody who's always like a natural um just person that gravitates to things naturally. Generally, like one of those guys that's usually good at just about everything I kind of put my hands on. It'd
That's
be
what's
like,
up.
oh, you never played hockey before, but it's like, hey, you get me on the ice or whatever like that. Oh, find out I ain't that bad, but so just naturally, just having that like knack for like I understand comedic timing and things like that, and also sometimes even though you might think you understand comedic timing, it's still things to learn. And so like I said, I hit the ground running with hitting the open mics and stuff like that once I was confident, and a solid, I ain't gonna say a tight five because they want you to get a tight five, but I'm gonna say I had a solid five that I kind of started being true to and being faithful in. And once I felt as though that's when I kind of like started like shopping myself around early, trying to get on to people's shows and things like that. And I think as it got closer towards graduation is when I said, okay, let me really like start attacking this thing, because now you're a month away from graduating and you kind of want to know, is your solid five a tight five? Because now you about to perform in front of City Winery, sold out crowd,
Right,
nearly 400 people in the audience. You know what I mean? Not
right.
including other comics and different people who might even get come in off the free ski off of the strength of who's on the show and things like that. So you talk about at least there are 400 people that you're getting ready to perform for, and you want to make sure that you got that solid five is actually a tight five.
So they teach. Okay, so you got a solid five, but then you may go places and they may ask you for more than five. Like, so then
Yeah.
you always make sure you got written for what, a solid 30. That's what you prepare yourself for, a solid 30 minutes.
Well, some for some comics, I feel like you got to be honest with yourself. You got to be honest with yourself, especially like I said, for myself, I'm a few months in,
Right.
um, and if I wasn't somebody that immersed myself into it right away and actually fell in love with doing it, and you know, I mean, it was nights I didn't even go to sleep because I'm up either watching documentaries, taking notes, um, writing, writing out jokes and things like that. So you could always be prepared. Like, you know what I mean? Because the worst thing I would say is when you're into something, and this is the thing that I kind of learned from being my days of being a rapper. Um, people like I would have people come up to me like, oh, give me, OGs will come up to me like, oh, give me a 16, give me a 16. And they always got that famous saying, oh, what I mean, when it was cool to say Diddy. Yo, but if it was P. Diddy and you trying to, and he trying to sign you, you never know. Da, da, da. Well, the thing is, first of all, nigga, you not P. Diddy.
Right.
But that's besides the point. I get what the whole saying was for. It's just basically saying always be ready. You never know what or who could it be that could be the bridge to an opportunity for you. So always be ready, and actually, I pride myself into that. And I'm not gonna say everything that I wrote down was slated to be funny or slated to be a part of a set that you'll be like, okay, hey, yo, this is funny, this is what I'm gonna take on stage or whatever the case may be, but still putting enough material out there so I can pick, choose, and refuse. And if somebody was to come up to me and say, hey, yo, can you give me 20 minutes, can you give me 30 minutes, I could sit there and say, hey, no, I haven't done it, but I'm prepared to try it. Like, you know what I'm saying? The worst thing is being scared to fail now. But like I said, like if I wasn't at least halfway decent, those would be waters I would be wise to tread away from. But a lot of times these newer up and coming comedians, they fall in love with the paydays, and for real, I don't do it for a payday. Like I do it because one, I enjoy it, and then it's the opportunity to put myself in front of a new audience. And rather if I could gain 2 to 3 new followers every time I step on stage or whatever like that, to me that's worth its weight in gold. You know what I mean? So yeah, I mean the payday is an extra sweetener on top, but
Yeah.
you know what I mean, without the payday I would still do it. So I'm always prepared to do however long you need me to do. But for some people, I would suggest that if you don't have a tight five or your tight five is like I would definitely suggest try to stay away from longer times until you've been able to work out type five. Then you got another solid type five. Now you got a solid 10. You know what I'm saying? And then you can start saying, okay, I'm expounding on that. I can expound on that. I can expound on that. You know what I mean? A lot of people use more veteran comics. I know they rely on crowd work. Some people, as newer comedians, try to rely on crowd work coming in too, and it's like you're not that. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? Save the crowd work. You know what I mean? Because
Everybody can't do it. I noticed that.
one,
Everybody.
everybody can't do it, and then they try to hang their head on it. Because you might even be good at that, but then if your material doesn't land either, everybody can't do crowd work for 20 and 30 minutes. Like, you see what I'm saying?
That's it. That's a big thing. Crowd work is a big thing, and I can see every comedian built on that. That's why I see why you got a type five. I understand, but I know sometimes I just be thinking in my head sometimes, because like you told me, you said you should probably try to be a comedian. Now, I don't write too much down. I write some stuff down, but I don't write too much down. But for a comedian, I would have to write a lot because I would have to write these jokes out, and then I had to go on open mics, and I had to keep practicing these jokes until I get them perfected, so that way I can keep going ahead and being sharp. But I don't write that much out. But I probably do need to start writing. That probably would be a way for me to get consistent in writing. Was to be a comedian because you have to do it.
Not necessarily because it's different strokes for different folks. You know what I mean? You got some comedians. I don't want to lie, so I'm not going to name drop. But you got some comedians who or tell you that, hey, I don't write. I never wrote. You got some that tells you, hey, I like listen. Um, I can't write because I feel like it messes up my process. You got some people who just write out one-liners or they write out one word and they won't even mess with it until they step on stage because they want all their thoughts to come out organically. In which I kind of see myself starting to fall into that space a little bit because
Mhm.
sometimes I'll work a joke out because I want to write down certain points that I felt as though was funny to me or whatever, and realizing that damn, I lost some of the magic of that joke because it don't hit the same once I say it out loud, So you got so many, it's no right. the beauty about comedy is no right or wrong way to do it. You know what I mean? But you do want to get into the habit of writing. What I tell people, you want to in with Toure, Keith from Up the Block, all of them would tell you, any experienced comic would tell you, even the ones that don't write would tell you, write, because at the end of the day you will always have a job. See, they're blessed and fortunate of that their talent has took them to places that they never had to resort back to the beginner method of trying to write and different things like that. But if you write, you'll always have a job, because say you're not that good as a comedian, but you're a phenomenal writer. And for a lot of us as comedians, sometimes we can look past whether a joke is good or not, and we can see the creativeness behind the writing inspiration of it. So sometimes a joke won't land, but you might have one or two of us over there in the back conversing like, yo, he got potential with that, John. I
Yeah,
don't think he know what he doing with it. Like, you
right.
know what I mean? Because we see the creative potential behind what it is that you were trying to convey. So always write, because there's always a job. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you can get picked up for SNL being on their writing team, making 100+ K a year just because you know how to write.
Mm. That is good to know. That is definitely good to know. Yeah, gotta say that. That's good to know. Now, this is putting it on the pod, so I have to ask you about your podcast life. We're literally speaking the Lit Kings as y'all
Yep,
go
yep.
by. You know, so I've been podcasting for a while, right? And one of the things that I've learned is that when you have a team, it's a little difficult to keep a team. But y'all
Yeah.
actually had a run going. And I commend y'all for that. Now, how did the Lit Kings get started?
Well, we go back to 2016 when we officially got started, but we've been working trying to get the pod up and running. I say as early as 2014, 2015.
Yeah.
Um, so me and my guy Boosie 152,
Mhm.
um, we've been long time friends now, and we always have, kind of like how your sports show is set up, sports banter. You know, we've kind of been old souls for a long time. I think I stopped listening to the radio at about 20 24 25. I stopped listening to the radio, and everything, once you get in my car to, whether if I'm at work, is WIP all day. You know what I mean? WIP was one of my inspirations in starting in wanting to be either a radio broadcaster or, then not quite knowing what the podcast was. Um, would eventually spawn into being a podcaster.
Right.
Um, so with me and him, we always have these debates and wild takes and things like that. We You couldn't tell us we weren't Stephen A. and Skip Bellis at the time, which they were kind of still uh in the fold together at the time. That's another big inspiration. Stephen A. I think if you do anything in broadcasting, especially if it's sports related, it's hard to not say that Stephen A., Skip Bellis, Shannon Sharp, different ones aren't a big catalyst to what intrigues you to want to get into it. So I think it started off with that. Um, we always had like little rough ideas, and the thing is, with a lot of folks, things always start as an idea, but it becomes a stagnant thought because there is no action behind it. There's never a lot of you got so many people that's not even doing what we're doing right now, and they have the ability to probably interview their ass off, like, you know what I'm saying. They have the ability to just have that natural ability to have conversations with people and pull from their stories and make it in an enriched conversational piece, to where as though it will make the interviewee open up even more.
Right.
But because if they don't have action behind it, they'll never get those things started. And I think that was one of the blessings about me winding up having to need a job and wind up having to work with my guy Boosie 152. I would just say the establishment. But nah, it's cool because none of us is there. We all elevated in life. So we wanted to work. We was working at Target overnight, and he was already he was already tied in with who some with a friend at the job that eventually became a friend and podcast mate, Tom Flies. Um, and Tom Flies I'm gonna say he about at least. I'll say he's definitely at least about 4 to 5 years younger than us, roughly. Um, so he just has that ability to bring in me. We just looked at it, hey, Boosie looked at it as like, hey, this could be a valuable asset to our show idea, different things like that. He was talking about how he's well connected, plugged in, and different things like that. And then he's in tune to the youth and what's going on to kind of keep us more abrupt to us, so we don't sound like two grumpy ass old men trying to talk about something. Well, back in our day, this is how shit used to be, and da, 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 like
Right.
so he kind of breaks up some of that monotony of us being the two older guys, and kind of making it a very balanced out pod. So, and with Tom definitely was a guy that I would definitely say was needed because he was an action guy, and that's like I said, that's a lot of times with our biggest Achilles heel is a lot of thoughts with no action. And he came in right away, was like, okay, cool, you know, yeah, I'm trying to do this, trying to do that, like X, Y, and Z. Like this is my thoughts and things that I want to do, X, Y, and Z. So we was like, all right, cool. It aligned, and we like, all right, cool, let's get it started or whatever. Next thing you know, he goes out, he grabs he grabs himself a laptop and things like that. Me and Boosie, we grab some mics, and boom. Next thing you know, we start out in one of Boosie's at the time bedrooms that we kind of stripped out and turned that into like a little studio at first. Too much dogs barking in the back and everything like that. Then it eventually spawned into something of his own. Like I say, about episode 3, we started averaging around like 13 to 1400 listens, and it became something that organically grown because even around that time, the Joe Buttons of the world, the Noriegas of the world, they were still fresh faces on the podcast scene. So for us to be a urban based, pop culture based podcast, and the Philly market, not saying that we were the first, but we were definitely the first to do it at the level that we were doing it at, you know, and a lot of influences came from them. This is why we have the Lit Kings aspect, because it's like, okay, we'll have the intellectual ability of a Joe Buttons, but we also going to party and give you the same feeling that Noriega gives you. So it's like trying to give you that best of both worlds feeling. And I think what really started to take us over the top is when we started to branch out and end up at places like the Philly Hip Hop Awards, and taking our show on the road to go out to New York to interview people like Big Fendi, Red Cafe, and I think these were things that are like staples of that growth process that kind of like solidify, like, okay, yo, who are these guys? What is it that they're doing? And even to the degree Gilly and Wallow were intrigued to even be like, yo, what is this podcast thing, like what is it all about, different things like that. They plugged into industry people, so they already knew about Nori and Joe Buttons and different things like that. But to see some young guys that's actually starting to take off from their city, that's kind of do it in their own way, they just, what I mean, kind of wanted, like, yo, like, what is the formula, like, whatever the case may be, until whatever, to eventually years later spawning off to what it is they're doing now with $1 million worth of game. Shoot, Gilly was on our 14th, I believe, episode, and at that time he's advertising for $1 million worth of game, the album. You know what I mean? He was still Gilly the Kid, the rapper at this time. Like, you know what I mean?
Right.
He's not thinking about, $1 million worth of game was just a segment he would do on IG, where he would basically read off DMs, or talk about situations of people coming into him for the advice, and at the end of the day, he'll give them, some gems or whatever like that on how to conduct themselves, and like, that's $1 million worth of game, right? Like, you know what I mean? That
Okay.
little slogan he had and
I
everything at the
remember.
time. So, you know, um, but just like all good things, we had a nice run.
Well,
Um,
hold on, you because you wasn't gonna say this one, but one of the ones I was very happy to see for y'all was when y'all went on tour with "Don't Call Me White Girl." I was very happy to see that
well,
she actually went, grabbed y'all, put y'all on tour with them. Now, how did that come about?
all right. Well, first of all, it wasn't a tour. We opened up for it though, which
Okay,
which was which was still a good payback callback situation. We was the first ever podcast she was ever on. Shout out to my guy Boosie 152 who reached out to her, knew who she was very intrigued by the content that she put out, and invited her on as a guest. Much like everybody else, we're kind of like the first podcast that they get introduced to. Like, I mean, from Gilly to the Wallows and everything like that. We were the first podcast that they were introduced to, far as in the Philly market wise, and she was just intrigued. She was like a kid in the candy store. Now, mind you, we was recording out of the bread factory at this time. Anybody who remember them studios that they try to set up and the investors based bread factory on 55th, you know, you know, we were recording out of there. Quality wasn't that great, but shout out to the guys that let us use their studios and seeing our vision and actually wanted to support that vision by giving us um little to no cost on studio time. So she came there. She was like a kid in the candy store. She's asking a bunch of questions like, "What's this? What's that? How y'all get it started? Different things like that. What's a podcast? Everything like that." And just was intrigued, and I think at that time, she wound up forging a relationship with our guy Time Flies that spawned into what it spawned into because he eventually started doing work with her and helping her build up her brand over there. Um, when she eventually branched off to start doing her own podcast. Um, so it was just a good callback because one now Tom was working with her, and then Boosie 152 is actually he's a resident of Baltimore. He was born here, but he spent a lot of his adolescent years growing up in Baltimore. So it was definitely a nice callback to say, hey, well, Boosie, this is your hometown. You were the one to bring me out to the show. We got your guy Tom Flies here, whatever like that, who still loves and appreciate all the time that we put in together. And it was more so like, hey, hey, y'all come out. Y'all get your beaks wet at opening up for us. Now, mind you, at this time, now that's the one thing I will say. Even by that time, having all those years in, we've never really done a live podcast. So, I mean, I'm gonna say it was definitely an emotional roller coaster because we had good moments, we had some bad moments, but that's also what inspired me to say that, hey, I could possibly do stand up comedy because you get on a good streak, you like, okay, it's 100 plus people in here, I'm making them laugh, I might can do that. So so with that also it was a learning process. It was the first ever time we ever did a live show. I'm gonna say there was more than there was more good than there was bad, and seeing her work and seeing her maturation process and where she has grown to into where she is now, and seeing how she conducted herself on that stage, maybe admire and see, okay, this is where we went wrong, this is what we could have done, and if we're granted the opportunity to either work with her again or just to do our own thing, this is how we need to conduct it. And so it was a beautiful process though, and not too many people, I say, reach back. You know what I mean? And the fact that she was real enough to reach back, I know there's other things that people could probably say about her on the internet. So I'm not going to be one of those guys that, like, you know what I mean? Because that's not my experience with her. You know what I mean? So, but it was definitely a blessing at the same time for her to reach back and say, hey, like, yo, you know what I mean? I didn't forget y'all, like, you know what I mean? So, hey, here go a bone, you know what I'm saying? Whatever,
That's what's up.
and y'all do what y'all do.
Well, I'm gonna say this though. That's firstly, don't call me white girl for people that don't know. She's now on the Joe Buttons podcast.
Right.
When
Shout out to her.
she started off with her content creating, and she was just saying things that was hitting home for a lot of people on the internet at first. And then after a while, she done worked her way up and got on $1 million worth of game, which is like one of the biggest podcasts. It's the biggest podcast in Philadelphia, but it's one of the biggest podcasts in the podcast creating station, creator station. Then she
Yeah.
went from there and started her own podcast, where she was doing pretty good at with Break Beats. She left Break Beats and then went and got on Joe Budden's podcast that she's been on since September, which is another one of the biggest podcasts out there. So that's who Don't Call Me White Girl is. If you ever looking to see, you can look her up. She's from Philadelphia. I think she currently lives in Delaware. Don't Call Me White Girl is her name. And yeah, she is doing big things out there. And she
Yeah,
is.
see, niggas get a little bit of money, move to Delaware. See what happens.
But she was living in Delaware when she
No,
started.
I'm messing, bro.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
that is no business of mine. I'm just saying. But
Well,
Delaware is
everybody trying to
nice.
move out of
No
Philly.
state
I
taxes.
think
You know
I'm
what I'm
the
saying? You'd be wise to move out there.
yeah. I think I'm one of the ones that really don't want to move out of Philly. I want to actually stay here. Um,
I mean, Philly is beautiful, but about to spawn into a whole different conversation. But the property taxes is redunculous. Like, you know what I mean?
oh man, it's
So
not
yeah,
just
I mean, it will behoove
I
you
I get
if you
into
if you
that
if
with
you
you later.
can if you can get outside of these walls. You know what I mean? Like, where me, my dream place, my dream destination would I would love to move somewhere down south, preferably Texas. But you know what I mean? If I don't get the opportunity to expand out that far, you know what I mean? Yeah, Delaware, different things like that. Certain places that are rural and up and coming. You know what I mean? But that's a whole nother business, taxes, and all this other stuff like that we could talk about another time.
Right now, we talking about dream places. I'm gonna tell you right now. Be honest with you. If I had a remote job, I would live in the Dominican Republic. I'm letting you know right now.
Oh
If
yeah,
I had a
now
remote
now
job.
you just cheating the system,
Oh yeah.
because now
Oh,
you be
most definitely.
making American money, living on foreign soil. You know what I
Like,
mean?
hello.
You be over there. You could be making about 40,000 a year and be over there living like a king.
Like a king. You understand me? Hello.
Yeah. Another place that's like, it's not, I wouldn't say it's a dream destination, but where if you are working in one of the major markets, Philly, New York, Chicago, California, different places like that, and you don't want to quite move out the country, but you want to see the value of your dollar be more appreciated. Louisville, man. Louisville is a beautiful place, but the making about 60,000 here in Philly is damn near the equivalent of making damn near close to 100,000 in
In
Louisville. Like,
Louisville.
and
Only thing I don't
yeah,
like about Louisville, they got that they ain't got no nice place. Like, see, I'm in the Dominican Republic. I go to the beach. You know what I mean? I got a
yeah,
beach day. I go to water, the women are waiting for me. Stuff like that.
yeah. I feel you. I mean, but much like the people now, much like California. Now, the California, you already know their taxes is out of control.
Out
But
of control.
but eventually, when you live there, that stuff becomes start to get mundane to you. Like, it starts to get old. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I spent 2 weeks out in California a couple of years ago, and they because the people I was staying with, they're now locals. They looking at me weird that I want to go to the beach. 'Cause they like, no, the beach, like it's like, y'all got 20,000 beaches here and y'all don't do the beach. Like, it's just like, yeah, but that's like so like tourist. like there's so
That's
many
who I
other
am.
things to do
That's what
here.
you.
I
That's
was
who I
like, well,
am.
motherfucker, I am a tourist. Like, nigga, give me the tour. I want to go to the beach. I want to go to Venice. I want to go to all these different beaches and stuff like that. You know what I mean? And then that cool breeze is so different. So I got a picture, and I don't think I posted it, but is a picture of me with a hoodie on the beach. And I'm people like, yo, nigga, I know you ain't wearing a hoodie on the beach. I'm like, y'all don't get it. That chill is a different type of chill. California chill is a different type of chill, and New York cold is a different type of cold.
Yeah, yeah. It does. That's most definitely, most definitely. Now, what you doing comedy, right? This like going back to your comedy days, but what you doing comedy? Have you been hitting like the whole from like Connecticut all the way to uh
I
DC?
Well, I haven't expounded out that far yet. Unfortunately, there was a festival I kind of missed the opportunity to fill out for, but well, technically I ain't miss it because I think the deadline is tomorrow. But I'm just thinking I got so many other financial obligations and
Responsibility.
things like that. Kind of want to, you sometimes because I hit the ground running so fast, like you want to kind of come up for air and kind of see what's going on. You know what I mean? I'm also a newly engaged man, so it's like also kind of thinking like back, okay, on some of my financial obligations, I have to also get ready to prepare for that. Shooting to try to have a wedding in the year of 27.
Okay.
So just trying to see like, okay, let me navigate life a little bit differently a little bit and kind of like come up for air. Like, do I have to get on everything? No. At the same time, I'm in my first year span, and I've done more than some people have done in years of already doing this comedy thing.
A
you
lot of
know so
people, what I've learned in comedy, a lot of people have messed their way up from keep continuously getting the bag. So they're like, oh, some of them that have overpriced themselves. Some
oh
of
yeah,
them don't know how to talk to people.
that too.
I've been like I go to live shows a lot. Like the Sharon to tell you, I go to live shows a lot. I ain't been in none lately, but I go to live shows a lot, and I'm usually around, and I go see people, and I notice, and a lot of people don't know how to work different places too. Like I watched
Yeah,
that. I
yeah.
watched some of that.
I think the importance of being a showman, period. First and foremost, a showman, period, is one understanding the landscape of where it is that you're going to. Being able to read the room. A lot of times when people are paid customers to come out to see comedy or whatever, they're already in the comedic mind frame. So you don't have to do too much. You don't have to sell them on your funny or anything like that. You just have to do what it is you do, trust in your material and deliver it. I kind of went through a situation where I just did a guest spot for uh for out of pocket comedy. Shout out to them, little shameless plug. They do a show every month. Well, actually, I think it's bi-weekly at two locals on 36th and Market. Um, I don't want to mess the guy's name up, but if you look up out of pocket comedy, it'll all run. They'll all run and collide into each other. So forgive me for not having your name correct, but hey, they know out of pocket comedy. You know what I'm saying? So, but I did a guest spot there, and there were more seasonal, as Dion Cole would call them, vintage women were in the crowd, and and as I'm I've been blessed and very fortunate that like have had very few opening acts. But but I'm still in that weird space where I'm technically am a opening act like right now. Like right now, like I'm somebody that you would have at the top of the show, what I mean, or to open your show up to get it started. You know, um and the thing was I'm seeing the seasonal folks in there, and I'm like, damn, I don't want to, I start feeling conflicted because I think about my mom. You know what I mean? My mom is not really too big on cursing. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, she understands what it is that I do, and she understands that it's going to come with the territory long if I'm not out there abusing the cuss words. Some people don't know how to curse. Some people just curse because they can and they have a mouth and and they feel like saying it. But I think if you curse within the confines of making a point, or and not just saying the curse word just because of the fact that you can say the curse word, because curse words, and like Two Ray will tell you in a minute, curse words isn't what make the joke funny. Like, the joke is funny because the joke is funny. You know what I mean? But sometimes, you know, a curse word or two does add flavor. Like, you know what I mean? But the meal has to be good already. Like, you know what I mean?
Right.
So but when I'm seeing how the crowd is, and then me being the opening act and didn't have somebody who kind of already laid the groundwork to say, okay, I said this and that, and they didn't get offended. All right, now as the comedians coming behind me, they kind of already know, okay, I can kind of let my hair down and do X, Y, and Z, and I ain't got to be afraid because the audience was very receptive to it or whatever. And I did a show called Jokes and Brew, another shameless plug. Shout out to Neil and Jay Harris, I'm actually on the show with this weekend. Um, and I was one of the opening acts for there, but it's a little bit different with that one because everybody gets the same amount of time to like do their stuff. So being an opener, being basically, I went on first. I wasn't technically the opener. I just happened to go first, and going first there, I was less afraid because it may be because it was a more of an intimate setting,
Mm-hmm.
and even though there was vintage women in that crowd too as well, my content is not vulgar. And my content isn't vulgar. It just may be, I may say some colorful words here and there, but my content isn't vulgar. And when I said the few choice words that I said, when I went back to sit with the rest of the comedians, they was like, "Yo, man, I'm glad I heard your set because now I feel more comfortable in saying what I have to say because I know they can take it." You know what I'm saying? So that's what opening act sometimes that's it's so important for you to trust in your material, say your material. Everybody's not going to like you, period, even if you're good. Everybody don't like Kevin Hart, and Kevin Hart is at the plateau of, you think he give a damn if you like him or not? Like, you know what I'm saying?
I'm,
He's
I'm,
selling
I'm
out
like that.
arenas. You know what I mean? And that's what cracks me up when people be like, "Oh, Kevin Hart isn't funny." I was like, "Well, you're one of shoot the 20, 30,000 that already be paying to come see him." So I think your opinion really doesn't matter whether if he's funny or not. And that's why I try to tell people all the time. You don't have to focus on trying to be the funniest. You have to just focus on being funny to who you're funny to, because whoever you're funny to are going to be, they're always going to be willing to pay to come out and see you when it's time for you to get paid, you know. But yeah, reading the room is very important. Reading the room is very important, but also don't be afraid. And me personally, I would try to stay away from so much overly sexualized content, but I know for a lot of folks that's their bread and butter. But and also there's going to be a audience for you. But the thing is, when you go into certain rooms, that type of content isn't always going to fly. So always be able to read the room and knowing that you can pull from other sources that's not so heavily rooted in vulgarity. You know what I mean? I think the you could talk about sex without it being super exploitive, like, I mean, or super explicit. You know what I mean? Like, nobody want to hear you keep on talking about, you know what I mean, your dick, how big or how small it is, or whatever the case may be, and what you was doing with it, and different things like that. Like, you know what I mean? So, and the same thing when it comes down to some of our lady comics and stuff like that. You know what I mean? You talking about like how wet or whatever, and you know what I mean, how good or not good the guy was eating it and stuff like that, and how you was riding his face and stuff like that. You know what I mean? But you have people who are that do enjoy that quality of content. So always remember, you know what I mean, still, hey, if that's you, that's you. But still be careful, read in the room, and a lot of times it's really those type of joke placements that kind of can throw the room off. And sometimes also when you talk about people's sexual preferences, you know what I mean, mostly sex, as you can see where I'm getting at, is what kind of tends to throw the room off. Other than that is how much of a potty mouth are you, you know, and those really are the only things. Other than that, for real, do your jokes, get your laughs, get your cash. Like, you know what I mean?
Sounds good. Sounds good.
Welcome
Well,
back.
Chocolate Girl's here. She's gonna take over with her side of the story.
Oh, I was here all along. That's
Yeah,
just how
she
we
was
Oh,
do.
all
I
right.
was
here.
here
Listen,
listening the entire
I was like,
time.
yo, the cold drop. She ain't come back. I was like, dang, she over there still
No,
on dial up. Like, I was like,
no, no, no,
yeah.
no,
Be
no.
right
I
back.
was fully engaged, fully
Okay,
engaged.
awesome, awesome, awesome.
But thanks again for coming on with us. This is very good
I
conversation.
appreciate y'all.
I
Appreciate y'all.
I tend to come with different kinds of questions, so just bear with me, okay?
I'm with you.
Okay. All right. So first of all, I want to talk a moment about the political side of your life, okay?
Awesome,
Because
awesome.
I love the way that you do all kinds of things. You know, they're different. See,
Master of
comedy
all,
is over here, politics over here, podcasts is they all merge in a certain way, but they're
public
different.
speaking.
Yeah, yeah.
Jack
So
of all
this
trades, master at none, though.
master at some. I
Uh,
always say that you master of some
I mean, that's debatable.
of being you, if nothing else. That's what I
Yes,
always say.
ma'am.
But serving on council, how do you handle disagreements on council? Like tell me about a time that everybody else was thinking one way and you're thinking the opposite, and you've had to try at least to convince them to see it your way and come to your side. How do you deal with that?
Well, first and foremost, when it comes to politics, you know what I mean, unlike some people, I know how to separate a person's thought process from them being the human being, because
Mm-hmm.
you know what I mean, just because somebody voted for Trump don't make them a bad person. Like, you know what I mean, like you made a bad decision that day, but it doesn't make you yourself a bad person. Like you know what I mean, all of a sudden, now I'm not gonna sit here and say, oh, you're a bad cook because you voted for Trump. Like, oh, I don't like you, I can't deal with you. And some people really take those political ideologies to heart, where they have shattered friendships, you know what I mean, they have shattered relationships, you know. And I think that's a dangerous, slippery slope that a lot of people kind of hang their hat on. That I don't think is productive for society or mentally for anybody, because you know, what I mean, your political ideologies should be your political ideologies, and this is a lot of the reasons why a lot of times people don't tell you who they vote for, don't tell you which way of the fence they swing on, and different things like that, because it shouldn't, to me, your political stance shouldn't determine whether or not am I going to speak to you in the morning. You know what I mean? Am I, as your neighbor, because I see your trash can rolling down the street, am I going to go pick it up for you and set it down? Like, it shouldn't stop me from being a nice person to you because of
Now,
who you chose to vote for.
I'm going to push back on you just a little.
There you go
Just a
ahead.
little. That's what I do. Just a little. Um, I understand where you're coming from on that, but here's my question. The way your political stance
Hmm.
does have something to do with how you process information, what type of thinking and logical thinking that you have, what fits your soul and your personal values, that comes out in your political choices. So if you have someone that you know and love and care about, and all of a sudden you see that they voted for somebody who's diametrically opposed to your value system, your whole value system, just your whole existence, even, you mean you wouldn't look at them a little differently, or say,
No,
hey, I feel threatened by you because now I know how you really think?
no, not at all. Not at all. Because at the end of the day, you know, if who I am is not predicated on choices that I make, because if that, with all those things being said, the way how we look at life, and life progresses, life changes and things like that. You had years ago, people couldn't tell you their sexual preferences. You know what I mean? Back in the 90s and things like that, it was taboo to tell people that you were gay. It was taboo to tell people that you were lesbian or bisexual or anything like that. Where now today is embraced, right? You know what I mean? Now that you found out that your longtime friend who's had your back, who has, when you fight, they was fighting and different things like that. Now that they came out to you as homosexual, now all of a sudden it's like, ah, I can't. Did that stop you from riding? You know what I'm saying? Back when we got into to all those issues and beefs and different things like that. So to me, I get what you're saying from the aspect of like, hey, because the ideologies of what that party and preferably that person, the things that they you feel like they stand for, you stand for. And also, as that person, until you have a conversation, you don't know that they agree with 100% with what it is that they do, because for some people, they vote the way how they vote from an economical standpoint. Everybody have different reasons for why they vote and why they vote for certain parties, because of economical infrastructure, certain rules and regulations that might come down the pipeline, that they are more in tune with. That, hey, like, hey, I don't mess with that. You might be somebody that's like, hey, I'm pro women's choice, or whatever the case may be, but I'm pro women's choice, but at the same time, I hate that he's for gun carrying. Like, so you might have different things that you might battle with, but because this this particular candidate is going to make sure that women's choice still becomes a thing that is upheld in the near future, I'm gonna vote for them because the other party doesn't think so. Like, you know what I mean? But I don't care that they're pro gun carrying and all this other stuff like that. So you have different. Nobody's going to be 100. This is why we're different people to begin with. None of us are going to think like 100% down the line, check off all the boxes and stuff like that. Like, what I
Mhm.
mean? So I can't sit here and then all of a sudden and be like, you're not my friend because you voted this way or whatever like that. Like, did that stop you from treating me a certain way? Do you still treat me with respect, with love, and do you lead with those different things like that when we're amongst each other? Like, I'm not going to make your political stance be a determining factor to say, oh, like, everything else about you is bad now. Like, like,
Well,
nah, I
not
can't.
necessarily that, but I mean, I understand what you talk. You are a very, very good separator. I am too. I really pride myself on being able to separate certain things.
Mhm.
But when it comes to, I guess it depends on how egregious the candidate is
True,
that you're talking about.
true.
So if there is a candidate though that's diametrically opposed to everything that makes up Sharon's existence, though, I can't I can't see how in the world you can be a supporter of that person and love me. I cannot reconcile that. And if you don't love me, then I don't have time to be bothered with you. That's how I am. And I'm not like that about everything. It has to
Right.
be a very specific example. And just I'm gonna say this last thing and I'm gonna move on. But I'm a registered Democrat, but I'm only like 60% liberal. I'm very conservative on a lot of ways. A lot of ways.
Yeah.
The reason I'm a Democrat is because I cannot, with good conscience, sign on to a party who is opposed to the freedoms that I enjoy as a Black woman in this country. I'm Black and I'm female. I'm single. I'm a single parent. I got all the things that Republicans seem to look at with disdain. And I can't sign on to that. So people who support candidates that are in favor of legislation that harms me, I can't look at them the same. It's just me, and so that's the reason why I wanted to ask that question, because sometimes in terms of politics, yes, we are all different, but there comes a time when you're serving in a role that you have to make some concessions for the greater good. And I know that can be tough sometimes because you feel or you think the way you think. So how do you get people to come to your side, if at all, if that does happen for you? How do you get them to see it your way and possibly come to your side?
Well, this is also what I'll add to it. Um, now, being on the other side of the fence as a, I like to call it an entry level politician, as an executive ward committee person. I like to call it, this is the entry level, like, of politics. You don't get paid and you don't really have a campaign. A campaign is just about as strong as your pockets would allow. Um, I think the more you really learn about politics is that it's still surrounded in dollar bills. And um whether we want to be honest about it or not, a lot of times the person you we tend to end up voting for or end up becoming the prime candidate is because their pockets or their campaign had the deepest pockets, you know. And the reality of it all, that I didn't understand it back when I was in high school, where I had a substitute teacher who, this was at the time, I believe Mayor Nutter was running. This is his first time running, and he was going up against a guy that we, well, some of us know and love, Shaka Fatah. Um, so Shaka Fatah uh, was near and dear to my heart because at the time I was getting ready to go to college, and one of my grants and a couple of my funding was coming from um, a scholarship program that he put together. If anybody remember the Core Philly scholarship or in grants and things like that, I was able to use some of the money and funding to come from that to kind of pay for my first year
I remember that.
up at Cheney University. And um yeah, but the substitute teacher basically said, "Hey, the guy y'all should be voting for, some of you who are now of a voting age, should be Shaka Fatah, but because his campaign doesn't have enough money for me, I'm campaigning for Mayor Nutter, because his whole thing was he was getting paid, but he's telling you who the better candidate is." Like, you know what I mean? And that's just the name of the game. So that's why I was like, even with me, that's why I say I'm very like separative, because of those things, is that, like, hey, this person is only in your face because their pockets was the deepest and things like that, and this is who that political party chose to be the representation of their mouthpiece. And recently, with the mayor run, I come from organizing as well. I was an organizer for 6 years for an organization that will not be named. And with that, we were also capable of endorsing candidates as well. And one of the candidates that we were behind as an organization was Helen Gim, who ran for the mayor office, who does great work as a city council member and as in an array of different things that she's involved with. Now, me as a committee person now, my committee, my ward and my committee, they chose to put their hat behind Mayor Sherelle Parker, which now conflicts with me as a person who's an organizer, and with my organization, which is my job. And also, but now, as a voted in committee person, these are the people I have to also get behind with my committee wants to do, and also spread that word throughout my district, and I'll telling them, hey, this is who the ward is behind, and this is who we are voting for. While my organization on this hand is saying, hey, this is who we're behind, and this is who we're going to try to tell the people to vote for. So now is the balancing act. Okay, who does Dante who does Dante want y'all to vote for? What makes sense to Dante, and from my political ideology spectrum, on what do I feel like these candidates are promoting, and just off of just their approach to policing and the increasing of policing and things like that. My ideologies kind of deferred at the time with Sherelle Parker, because you know her thing as a young black man coming up, I don't never want to hear about we going to add more police to to already over police saturated areas. You put more cops in and wanting to implement things like stop and frisk, only feel like it targets people, especially people who look like me. A young man who has had a beard since I was 16 years old. You know what I mean? And the constant stopping, and hey, yo, you fit the description and this and that. You never want to hear that, like, okay, you want to add more to that, where Helen Gilm was coming from a realm of, hey, let's understand the issues and things like that, and actually implement other things on the police force that also sympathizes with people with mental health issues, sympathizes with these type of situations, where now, instead of us giving y'all more money to get things like facial recognition, more weapons and things like that that y'all can carry and stuff like that, let's implement programs where y'all working, or y'all are adding in mental health specialists for people who can approach the scene with also a police officer when the situation requires it. So if a person is giving you a call, and maybe this person has mental health issues and things like that, now you're not coming to the scene with just police officers that aren't really trained the words are slipping my mind, but at the end of the day, they're not really trained to talk to this person and meet them at their level where they're at mentally, where somebody who is specializes in that area and is and have more of a sensitive approach to it. Hey, they're here, they're also, and then you kind of bridge that gap and make more of them where they're also will be trained police officers as well, but their specialty is, hey, psychological evaluations, and being able to talk this person off of a ledge, get this person to calm down, use force as needed, as much force as needed, but this may slow down as many police calls, deaths and things like that. And I think she had more of the idea of that suited me in that space. So
Mhm.
if I had to say, I would have loved for my district to have voted for Helen Gim. But another thing is, Helen Gim campaign pockets weren't as big as Sherelle Parker's was. So this
So that
is,
makes a difference, definitely.
yeah, yeah.
Financing makes a difference. But let me ask you this question. The state of politics that we're in now, how do you convince people who do not feel their vote matters? How do you convince them that it does matter and encourage them to vote?
Oh man, this is so tricky, because you're talking to somebody who literally had that thought process up until about 6 years ago. I
Mhm.
was literally that person,
Well,
and
you're the best one that can answer.
yeah. Well, it's understanding how your votes matter. A lot of us, especially in the black community, we're not educated on civic engagement, right? We don't know the importance of voting for smaller offices like one that I hold. You know how important is it to vote for your committee person? Why? Because this person keeps you in the loop with who the ward is getting behind, and able to tell you who to vote for, and can give you a little bit more insight on that particular candidate, because they're starting to get more information as it leads closer to the voting season, and can kind of give you a little bit more intimate knowledge about, like, hey, this is who, Sherelle Parker is. This is, how long she's been active as a committee person, to a city council, to state rep, different things, the different branches of government that she's been a part of, some of the big legislative wins that she's been a part of, and things like that. And but we don't teach these things, and a lot of times um people don't offer to have these type of conversations with their community, inviting them to come out. Especially sometimes you kind of got to meet them, going inside of the schools, where you're talking to people that talking to the youth that are 17 getting ready to turn 18, and they're going to be of age to vote very soon, or even the ones that are already of a voting age, and letting them know, like, hey, this is why these things are important. Trying to talk to that crowd, and letting them know that, like, these next uh your vote for the next 4 years, the reason why this matters, because the next 4 years, as you're becoming of age, these are just some of the things that are going to impact you as a young adult. Is important to know, like, far as somebody that's going to start become that is going to enter into the workforce, that, hey, a lot of them don't know that the minimum wage is actually 750. And we fought for things like the increases of wages um in the workforce, whereas though now a lot of jobs that you have now have raised their minimum wage to around about $15 or so. you know Now you can go work at Burger King and McDonald's and things like that, which are entry level jobs, and make a decentable livable wage now. And it's not because minimum wage was raised, but it was also that whole fight that we had years ago about trying to increase the minimum wage, where a lot of them just agreed to do so even without the state raising its minimum wage. They just chose to do it on their own, and then a lot of state employees benefited from that increase as well. So yeah, I think it's just letting them know that the smaller offices matter. Why do they matter? What do they do? Um, how does these things directly impact you? Because it's like, we're getting ready to have the primaries come up, and that's the votes that really actually truly matter, because these are the political office that are tangible to you in your everyday walk of life, because these are the people that you can actually go out here and touch. You can't touch the president, for real. And it's almost like you hate to say it, but it's almost like a dictatorship with that situation, because it's like, whatever he says, it got to be for the greater good, for the whole body of the people, and things like that. And you kind of don't you have an impact on what happens with that, but the way you impact his judgment as the president is about voting for who you feel as though on this level that will challenge some of the things that he's going to go about. So having a great mayor in place, having a great governor in place, your state reps, your city councils, these are the people that make up the party that will ultimately challenge some of the decision making of the bigger guy. So that's why it became more important to me, to why my vote started to matter, and why I haven't missed voting in more so recent years.
Okay. So the key is getting them to see how impactful it is right around them versus the bigger picture.
Exactly. The
Okay.
tangible offices, the smaller offices, you know.
Mhm. Yeah. All right. So we're going to move on to comedy. I want to move on to comedy. What is your
Oh,
do you have a favorite type of comedy? You know, there's many different kinds. There's
Mm-hmm.
storytelling, there's dry comedy, there's dry
Mm-hmm.
humor, sarcastic, slapstick, dark humor, improv. What is your favorite type and why?
Um, I would say storytelling. I've been a story. That's kind of my approach to comedy is telling stories. Um,
Mhm.
um, I come from a storytelling comedic family. I'm just the first person to actually start hitting the stages. But when I tell you by far, I'm probably about the least funniest in my family. You know, man, from my grandmom, God rest her soul, that was the matriarch of the family and by far the funniest woman alive at the time she was living.
Mhm.
Some of her stories are still being told to this day and reminiscing. But yeah, my uncle is a great storyteller and somebody who since my journey into comedy, who I've been trying to put a battery in his back to get started back up and things like that because he's an awesome storyteller, kind of almost in that Ali Sadiq, cut from that type of cloth. Whereas though it's no real punchline. The story and the traumatic experience that might get experienced within that story is the punchline. Like, you know what I mean? Everybody
Mhm.
has a cousin or something like that, or your experiences with your siblings growing up, knowing that hey, you done went somewhere that you wasn't supposed to, and now something didn't happen to you. Like, like he had Ali Sadiq has this story that he tells about, you know, not how he wasn't supposed to go hang out around his factory when his mom told him, "Hey, he's supposed to go to the park,"
Right.
and he wound up going to the factory and breaking his leg. Now he over
Good.
here bear calling, bear calling, trying to get to the park, and his
Yeah.
sister catches him. Like, you know what I mean? It's just
Right.
the funny is within that enriched story because you can relate to it because you've had that experience with your siblings if you were blessed to have siblings coming up. So yeah, storytelling to me is always going to be the number one form of comedy to me that I enjoy the most. But I enjoy comedy of it in its whole. The only thing I feel like, especially with Philly, that I think becomes a little bit more challenging is that you have the different you have the different genres within the genre, which I feel like you have the internet comedians, and then you have the footwork comedians, which is the guys that actually hit mics and do their stuff in front of audiences.
Mhm.
Um, and I just think that like people blend them together, and you have some people who are able to do both to make content and people who hit the stage. But I feel like that's what I was telling Dennis earlier that sometimes it's hard to separate people who are comedic actors from people who are true working comedians. You know,
Yeah.
but if you have the ability to blend in both, you could be a very dangerous Swiss Army knife out here.
Oh yeah. Most definitely. You mentioned Ali, but I want to ask you about your opinion on Cat Williams. You know,
Okay.
for the last couple of years, he's like I'm gonna call him a social media sensation, even though he's already been an
Mhm.
actor and a comic and he's hit the stage and he's big and I got it. He's from my hometown, by the way. But
Oh,
but
what's that? Cincinnati?
no, he's from Dayton,
Oh,
Ohio.
Bacon.
And
Okay.
he people seem to think he's some type of truth teller after that whole Shannon Sharp interview. But what are your thoughts on that? Do you buy into the thought? This is the one thing that he talked about. Do you buy into the thought that men wearing dresses is some kind of gatekeeper and way to emasculate black men who are trying to be successful in comedy? Do you agree with that? Because I don't, but I want to know your
Um,
thoughts.
I mean, at one point I did believe that like, oh, like, they're making us do it, but to do that is being disingenuous because you know you got Robin Williams who's in Toys for Mrs. Doubtfire. You have Jim Carrey who has who has done it on many different occasions. You have so many other um, racial dynamics of comedians who have done it. It's just that when it comes to the black community, we overanalyze and overemphasize it as like it's this big boogeyman monster that's like, oh, they're not gonna let you make it unless you put a dress on, like,
Right.
and
Right.
it's just hard to believe that, hey, that person from a creator aspect, that's just what they chose to do. Like, you know what I mean? That's what they chose to do. Now you do have situations where like a Dave Chappelle, where where you might have the show producers and things like that might come in and kind of be very suggestive um of you doing this bit a certain way, like, hey, I would love to see you in a dress if you do it this way, whatever. And for somebody like myself that's new on the scene, it's like, oh man, I want this gig and everything like that, you may get just so pinned up in a corner where it's like, oh, if you don't put this dress on, you probably won't have a job. And
Mhm.
in that case, I always tell people, you do what's in the framework of your comfortability. Don't jeopardize your morality in no way, shape, or form for money, for a cash grab or whatever. So if you know that you have an issue with putting on a dress to be funny, or putting on wigs and different things like that, lipstick, whatever they feel as though they need to feminize you for that particular role, because that's ultimately what it is. It's a role that you'll be playing. They don't do it. Like, if it, the, there's certain things that, like, hey, this is where I draw my line in at the same. You just have to deal with the consequences behind it. And for a lot of up and comers, I know that puts them in a weird space, because you never know, this could be your last opportunity. You know,
Right. Right.
your first opportunity could be your last opportunity,
Hmm.
and and it sucks. But at the end of the day, you can always hold your head high, knowing that you didn't jeopardize the things that you weren't willing to compromise for the sake of a role.
Right.
Um,
Right.
Ryan Davis, who's one of my favorite comedians right now, um, even talks about feminizing his voices and his jokes and things like that. Like, he's saying that, like, me saying my joke in a high pitched voice just to give you the idea that, hey, you're talking to a female character, isn't going to make the joke to him, isn't going to make the joke any funnier. So it's like, that's why he does voice pitches differently. You know,
Hmm.
that's what he chooses to do. Me, on the other hand, I'm gonna do voice pitches. You know what I mean? I'm not going to compromise and put on dresses or anything like that. I mean, for the depending on the state of the joke or how far, I mean, I might throw on a wig, but I'm not gonna, I'm not gonna sell out too much on, over feminizing myself for the sake of a laugh. You know what I mean? Because I
Yeah.
believe I'm good without it.
Yeah.
So
But
that's just me.
it sounds like to me though, the difference between you and other people is you don't judge the people that do that,
Oh,
that
hell no.
choose to do that. And that's my issue, the judgment. I don't see how people can strongly believe that that is the case rather than looking at it the way that you do. Look, it's not for me, but I'm not going to say that about you just because you decide that's what you need to do for the
Listen,
sake of
get
your
it
career.
how you get it. Get it how you live. Hey, if
Yeah.
it's working for you, to God be the glory, man. But that's just not in the wheelhouse for me. And
Mhm.
you doing that is not going to stop with the flow of what's going on over here, because what God has for me is for me. And if that's what's flowing for you, hey, look, what God has for you is for you. I'm not all of a sudden saying, like, damn, man, if I just would have put on a dress all of a sudden, yo, man, I could have been getting to the money by now. Like, nah, like, it's just not my time of season. And me feeling like I have to put on a dress or something like that to be funny is never going to become, that for me. Like, so
Mhm.
that's just what it is.
So for you, who is your favorite, your all-time favorite comedian of all
All
time,
time,
just ever,
all time favorite
ever? Yeah.
ever. dead or alive, would be Patrice O'Neal.
You know, he was funny. He was funny. He was funnier than I think people realize.
Man, from because it's not too all right. Because see, this is the thing when it comes down to comedians, you can fall into this pocket of you're either rude, raunchy, you're either vulgar, you're either somebody who's like a I like to call them surgical, but people who are more intellectual comics like your Chris Rocks and things like that of the world. You know, you got some people who just they're boom bap where they like okay set up punchline and they kind of got you like that. You know, he's somebody that was uniquely all of that. Like you know, he could be boom bap, he could be rude, raunchy, storytelling capabilities, quick hitters. I mean, it's not too many people like to me, like how they look at LeBron as being just that Swiss Army knife of a basketball player that can just do whatever. He was one of those type of comedians. He's like to me, he's like the LeBron of comedy. He can do whatever he wanted, and it worked for him. And it worked for him. I mean, man, from just his whole thought process and how he set up jokes and just the whole subject matter of them all and things like that also allows you to know the level of uh, intellectual being he was that like hey you know because it's this running thing that like you know comedians aren't really that you know cerebral you know, but we are like, I mean, this is why you have the Dave Chappelle's of them all. You have the Chris Rocks or whatever, but those are comedians that lean more into their intellectual capabilities. But I think it's just even smart ways of how you go about setting up jokes and having a unique outlook on how you got to that punchline, you know, and it makes people look at it a different way. Like, okay, hey, like hey, it's a chocolate sundae. Um, but where you're looking at it, it's like, oh, hey, you must be talking about ice cream. But then when you go into the place, you realize it's nothing but, there's nothing but black women, and the day happens to be Sunday. Like, you know what I mean? So,
Right,
you
right.
know what I mean? So it's like it's just the whole oxymoronic ness of it all, and it's just it's a beautiful thing, man. Just to be a creator, period, is a beautiful thing. But Patrice O'Neal was just to me just one of the few ones that I can say had a weakness in his game. Like he was truly a sight to behold.
That's yeah. People, you don't hear his name mentioned as
Yeah,
much as others.
to,
But
today for me it would be Ryan Davis now. Today it would be
mhm.
Ryan Davis, and this other comedian who's not really like he's starting to get his name up there a little bit more, but I don't think he's quite of a household name. But his name is Greer. Greer, he kind of has like the scruffy beard and kind of got this Hancock look or whatever. So forgive me,
Mhm.
I can't remember his like first name, but I know he goes by Greer. But he's another guy that I like who's like he's from that cerebral aspect of just his whole thought process and how he approaches the game.
And I'm sure you've watched either live or on video. You've seen the original Kings of Comedy, right?
Of
You've seen
course.
them. I mean, who hasn't? If you haven't, I just challenge you out there who's listening to go
Yeah, of
watch it.
course.
Hilarious. Out of the four, which one would you say
Come on.
was the biggest and most impactful to comedy? Not necessarily the best comedian, but which one of the four has been
Mm,
more impactful to the genre? And why do you feel that way?
mm.
Now, who's the funniest or the best or the greatest?
No, I
Using
get you. I think based on how you phrase the question, I would have to probably say Steve Harvey. Um, and maybe not too far behind him, probably DL Hughley. Um,
Why
reason
Steve?
being,
Yeah.
well, Steve for one, Steve was able to host the Apollo. He had the television show that gave us that made people like Cedric the Entertainer a household name. Um, you know, that formula of his show spawned it off other shows for like other comedians and different things like that. DL Hughley and different ones. Uh, but then him just becoming a radio host and also him becoming, I mean, a larger than life TV host, things like that. It's just his whole contribution to entertainment culture from just being a comedian, from that Kings of Comedy to what he spawned it out to his career becoming, is phenomenal. And he's not only did his impact spawn out other comedians, but he also set up a blueprint. Like Nephew Tommy has since become
Yeah.
a branched off becoming a comedian from just segments that started off on the radio show, you know. Um so I think his impact just from a viewer perspective and creating a blueprint and a formula to see, and also the heights that he's reached, it kind of it gives you that inspiration of what is possible, what is capable, of what there is to become, the different avenues that you could get into and not limit yourself of saying, oh, I have to do comedy, and from comedy I have to be an actor, and then all these other things may come, or whatever the case may be.
Mhm.
He showed you, hey, listen, I'm on radio shows, I'm hosting game shows, things that don't necessarily directly have to do with comedy in itself. Talk show, and that was almost like a therapy session. So, yeah, Steve Harvey is probably the biggest contributor from there to culture in general, not just the comedic world, culture, black culture, period.
Now you said, out of the comedians that are out now, you like Ryan Davis the most.
Ryan
And
Davis, yeah,
yeah, Ryan. Yeah,
Greer.
Ryan. I think he's great. But I saw the bit that he did about the go to basketball between LeBron and Jordan. I was like, you're on the wrong side of history there, buddy. But anyway, that's another story for another day. But I
You
wanted
must be
to
talking
ask
about
you.
was that cancel court
Yeah,
or
yeah,
or,
with the
or
cancel culture.
okay,
But it
cancel
was
court.
funny though. It was
Yeah.
funny though. It had its intended effect. But you can choose not to answer this because I know you're new to the industry, so you don't have to answer it if you don't want to. But is there a comic out there, male or female, that everybody around you just seems to love, but you just not quite feeling? They just don't hit you the same way that it hits everybody, that they hit everybody
Hold on,
else
the sound
around
went
you.
out.
Did my sound go out?
I can't hear y'all. Move closer to the router or
Did
something.
my
Yeah, you
sound?
got to go back. You got to go back. Come out.
Hold
Can you
on.
hear me now?
Hold on, you guys.
Can you hear me, Dennis?
Charlie, go. You fine?
Oh, okay. Okay.
I think he got to go out and come back in.
Oh, okay.
StreamYard
All right,
does
y'all
that
can
from
still
time to
hear me?
time. Yeah, I can
Yes.
hear you, but
Yeah,
you got
we
to
can
go
hear
out and
you.
come back in.
I can't hear y'all.
Right.
Okay.
You got to leave.
Go out and come back in.
Like there's no sound. I can't hear y'all.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go all the way out or just kick him
Yeah.
out and make
Yeah.
him come back in.
I don't think I can kick him out. Let me see.
Oh, I thought you could.
Let me see if I had him back. Can you hear now?
Nah, I'm probably about to drop out and come back in and see if that
Yes.
works.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
Hold on, give me a quick second, y'all.
Mhm.
Sometimes that does happen.
Oh, I know. You know the difficulties I have with StreamYard.
Yeah.
We have a love-hate relationship. What's up, OG? I'm glad you can hear us out there. Drop in the chat.
The
Drop in
comedian
the chat.
I don't think is funny that everybody else thinks is funny.
Mhm.
It'd be Steinfeld.
Seinfeld.
Seinfeld, my fault. I said Steinfeld. Seinfeld.
Jerry, yeah, Jerry Seinfeld.
Jerry Seinfeld.
OG, put in the comments who your favorite comedian is, OG. I just want to know. But at first I didn't think that Jerry was that funny. And then I started watching him on his show, actually. And then I was like, okay, he has a different kind of humor. That's what it is. He's not the crazy, just crack you up funny like most of the comedians are that I like. So I had to kind of step back and take a different look at him. But go ahead and speak, Wutchamccallit.
Yeah, and that's a great analytical perspective, because a lot of times they say comparisons are the biggest thieves of joy, because what happens is you'll compare somebody to another person and it robs you of enjoying who that person is, because you comparing them in contrast to, oh well, well, Kevin Hart ain't like Bernie Mac. Well, they have different comedic approaches.
Yeah,
Like you,
yeah,
you can enjoy both from their different, from their different approaches of how they're enjoying it. But you can't say, oh well, Kevin Hart ain't funny like Bernie Mac, when it's like they're not the same comedian and they're not going to give you the same approach stylistically on how you should enjoy or digest their comedy. So
yeah. So for
so
for
that's
you, then who would your answer be that
but
people around you love and you just like, I'm just not
so
feeling that.
um I I I should stay refrain from saying names, but
Yeah,
only
don't say
if
nobody's
people
name.
only if people have two ears and can listen well. you know This is not me saying that this person is a bad comedian. This is not me saying that this person isn't good, because they're great. So I'm gonna start off and by prefacing it by saying that this person is a great. I feel like this person is a great. I'm gonna emphasize on great comedian. They're a great up and comer. They're still coming into their own and things like that. But somebody I feel like, because of social media and things like that, who I think, and I haven't seen a full scope of their thing, which I'm intrigued to actually kind of see. I would say for now, Mojo Brooks. Mojo
Mhm.
Brooks, who is extremely hilarious. And let me start by saying that, prefacing that. But
Mm.
I think the thing that gets on my nerves a lot with a lot of the newer comedians and stuff like that, and also those who have spawned it from being content creators, the crowd work reliability. Um,
Mhm.
Mojo, a lot of his stuff from what I seen, only online, is from a crowd work perspective. But I also enjoy his interviews. He speaks well, um, very articulate, and I know he also mentions that no, he has material, he has jokes and things like that. So I can't fault him for things that I haven't seen. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
But from a person who is like, hey, if because of what you choose to promote, it doesn't give me, hey, let me go buy your tickets for me, because that's not the type of comedy style I enjoy. Because I think I'm gonna just get a crowd work session where I think somebody like Nate Jackson, you embrace it a little bit more with him, because he's telling you off the rip, no, this is who I am.
That's
I,
his thing.
I,
That
I,
is truly
that's
his gift.
that's
Yep.
that's my thing. That's what I do, and I
Mhm.
think is again comparisons are the biggest thief of joy, because it's like Mojo isn't really promoting himself as that.
Right.
So when I see only thing you promote is crowd work clips, it almost leads me to believe that, well, you either your material is very limited, that's why you don't air out your material, You know what I mean? Because, and partially because as a comedian myself, you know, you limit what you want people to see because a lot of times you're going to say these jokes and things again.
Right. That's what
So,
Exactly.
that's what I thought.
Right.
I thought he was
Right.
going to save his material and
yeah,
get the
Right.
crowd work. So it'd be like, all right, the crowd work is what got you on the
yeah,
internet. Now
right,
come
Right.
see me so you can hear the
Right.
material.
Hear the
That's
rest
what
of the material.
that's what I thought. So when I
That's what I
seen
did too.
I seen Matt Rifle, and I see Nate Jackson, I see Ari Spears, I even see Gary Owens do it as well. When I see those
Hmm.
guys do crowd work and not do their jokes, I sit there and I be like, okay, they don't want nobody stealing their jokes. Or they don't want you to hear a joke, and then when you come see them, you hearing that
right,
same
Hear
joke. They
that
want their
same
joke.
joke.
right.
They
And
want
it
their
doesn't
joke to
land
run for a
that
couple years.
it takes
Well,
some of the sting. It takes some of the sting out of the laughter because it's like, oh, I've heard this joke like 300 times on the
300
internet.
times.
Yeah,
So
so
here's my last question. I'm gonna let Dennis ask a couple questions. And Dennis, I do have a 5-star shout out for the end. Okay.
Okay, all right,
So
I'm gonna let you end with the 5-star shout out.
okay.
I just
Well,
got one I will go ahead.
my last question is, who do you think is an underrated, male or female? Who's the most
mm,
underrated right now?
that's a good question. Somebody who I think is underrated, but should be rated a little bit probably higher than where they're at. Um, I think I don't know if you've heard of the comedian CP. I forget what his actual name is, what the C and the P actually stand for,
I don't
but
remember his name, but yes, I am. I am
okay.
familiar.
Oh,
Hmm.
you do know who CP is. Yeah,
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
he comes from All Deaf Digital, Roast Me, and all those different things like that. And man, when I say like, I mean gut wrenching laughs. Oh my god, like dude is amazing, and he's somebody that because he comes from the roast world, you would think he'll be uh, uh, um, a crowd worker. Or like, you know what I mean, somebody who relies on crowd work or somebody who's, bidding off of people in the crowd and stuff like that. And no, he comes out, he does material from top to bottom, you know.
Mhm.
Um
I've only seen him like twice. I've only seen him like
yeah,
twice, but both times I found myself like doubling over in laughter. And
right.
that doesn't happen often with me. You got to be
Yeah,
really funny for me. I'm
yeah,
pretty critical. I mean, I'm from Richard Pryor era, so if
yeah,
you can't make me laugh, then you're not funny.
yeah. You ain't
That's
one of
just
them guys.
it.
Yeah, no,
But yeah,
CP, I feel like he's underrated. Even though anybody I feel like who's getting paid handsomely for their craft, it's hard to say that you're underrated because you know what I mean. But I think he's somebody that's not on, he's not quite that household name yet, you
yeah.
know.
You
But
don't
if
hear
you're
about
like,
them at the barbershop. That's what
right, right,
I always use a barbershop to gauge, what's popping.
yeah,
That's just how I do. And yeah, if they're talked about at the barbershop, then they're known.
yeah,
And if they're not,
yeah.
then they haven't
And
gotten there yet.
I think he's reaching that plateau of where, I mean, he's somebody that's in that rare era of, he, like they like to say, he's your favorite rapper's favorite rapper. He's like your favorite comedian's favorite comedian. Like,
Well,
CP's
in
in that
May,
like space.
I'm gonna go see Ali Sadiq. I am just over the moon with excitement to see
Yeah,
this
Ali
man.
Sadiq
He is just
is
so
great.
funny. He is the
He's
type
great.
of comedian that really hits that sweet spot for me. And I cannot wait. Last year I went to see DL Hughley, and I had never seen him live. I had never seen DL live. I had seen him from afar. It's a long story, so I'm not gonna go
Mhm.
into it. But I saw him last year, and I wanted to go back and see him the next day because I enjoyed
Yeah,
it that much.
yeah.
But Dennis, do you have any more questions? You can step
Yes, I
in.
do have a question. So,
Mhm.
one of the biggest things, I want to say almost about a month ago, was the Oscars, and Michael B. Jordan won an Oscar about a month ago, right? And
Oh man.
soon as I open up my Instagram timeline, I see you posted, which was an old video, but it resurfaced his way around. And
What
he
was it?
and he
What was
posted a video and he said Michael B. Jordan isn't that good of an actor to me. And I was just sitting there and and it's crazy because I was on my way somewhere and I automatically just stopped and said, "What?" I was like, "What happened here?" Like, so then I wanted to go see the full video because I was like, I got here to hold it, but I couldn't find the full video. That was the only thing. I couldn't find the full video. I wanted to see the full video. But I'm gonna let you explain it here on your thoughts on Michael B. Jordan and why you feel as though that he's mid.
Okay, I'll send you the full video after this. Shoot,
Okay.
all you had to do was tell me that, like, hey, by chance, can you send me this full clip? Like, you know what I mean? 'Cause
Share it with me later, Dennis.
yeah, I'll send you the full episode. Now, this is the thing. One, let me preface this again. This is why I overanalyze what I said about Mojo Brooks, because people won't hear you say that the person is great. They'll just hear all the stuff that you said you didn't like. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, no. I said I preface it by saying, hey, Michael Jordan is good to borderline great actor at the time, and this was prior. Was this prior to Sinners? I'm not sure. But either or. I just feel as though at this point in time, prior to Sinners, his roles lacked a certain level of consistency, and he's approaching rare air now, where he's being called up for roles, and he's starting to be in that Will Denzel, Michael B. Jordan airspace, and rightfully so. If you're black, I'm rooting for you. I don't care. Like, you know what I'm saying? Because it's hard. It's hard as hell to do. And who am I to tell you? But the reason why I say that is because I feel like, you know, um, I think it was one of those rare things where certain roles, I felt like he was getting overpraised for, that to me were just underwhelming. Like, to
Like
me,
which
like
ones?
Black Panther. I'm sorry, like him as Killmonger, to me, outside of two lines in the darn movie, it was just like, he not selling me on the antagonist thing. Like it's like, bro, like, first of all, like, I mean,
He sold me. He sold me.
man, of course. I mean, bro, first of all, he too good looking to be intimidating to me. Like, I mean, bro, like, you're not you're not intimidating. Like, I feel like your eyebrows are a little too arched for you to be that intimidating. So it's just that, like,
Wow.
I just, but just like anybody, like me, even as a comedian myself right now, starting off or whatever like that, I have ebbs and flows of, like, hey, one night you might come to see me, you might be in the goddamn floor. The next night you might be like, oh, is this the same guy? Like, so it's just to me, I felt like some of the roles that he was taking on, just there was inconsistencies in his in his approach, and how well he allowed the character to take over, you know and that's just what it was for me. Like I said, as an antagonist, I wasn't really sold on him being the antagonist. Like, it's like a weird tone in his voice that was like, yeah, all these stripes on my body is for a kill, and it's like, bro, I'm not so, like, it's just, you're not doing it for me. Like, he had the war movie that went straight to Prime or whatever the case, which I feel like that was good action wise or whatever like that, but it was a little bit underwhelming. Even with some of the reviews that it was getting, it was a little bit of an underwhelming performances. I'm just saying that a lot of his performances just weren't consistent, and I compared it to when Lil Wayne basically announced that he was the best rapper in the game. And at the time, Lil Wayne was not even close to being the best rapper in the game to even announce some stuff out of his face like that. And sometimes you got to have that blind faith of knowing that, hey, you're going to be the greatest. you know, and all that to say is that full circle moment is that like here it is when he comes out with Sinners, and to play one two roles in a movie, and to give you two different like emotional approaches, and to give you two different personalities and really make you believe that these are two different people, and it's not just you playing, it's not Michael B. Jordan playing two different roles. No, I seen Smoke and I seen Stat, and that's what I mean by being sold, and he immersed himself into those roles. And I think also what killed me with the Black Panther thing is because I think he also overhyped himself in interviews when he was like, yeah, you know, I was in a real dark place after playing that role. I was like, nigga, this is the role that put you in a dark place. You know what I mean? He was trying to give you like the Heath Ledger, Joker like type of vibe, and it's like, bro, you didn't go Heath Ledger's Joker on that role, like, you know what I mean? But with this, with the smoking stack thing, I mean, not only did he not, he played them roles extremely well, man. It was just his acting was just, you know, like chef's kiss. It was phenomenal in that movie, and I tip my hat off to him. And I'm like, it's kind of like that. It's kind of like when you see the potential in somebody, and it's like, listen, bro, I'm rooting for you. I want you to do good every time or whatever like that. But also, I'm gonna critique it when it's not all like that. But you know that scene like in Bad Boys when Will Smith had to tell Martin, listen, from now on that's how you drive. From now on,
From
whenever
now on, that's how
yeah,
you
from
act.
now on Sinners, bro. Like you can't go down to me after Sinners, bro. Like his acting in Sinners was top tier, bro.
I
To
haven't
make me
seen the
really
movie.
believe that they was two different people, bro. Like I'm like,
I don't
bro, that's
now.
how I'd
I
like to
haven't.
see.
I haven't seen
pers-
it.
Personally,
Okay.
now this is me personally. I don't believe that it should have been Michael B. Jordan for both roles. That's just me. I felt as though they could have found somebody else. I felt as though Amari
He
Hardwick,
did it
who
though.
I know he did it. He did a good job. Listen, won his Oscar and was
Phenomenal
sent good for
job,
him.
bro.
But if you're asking me, did he need it to be both people? No.
No, but this is why like now you get the respect of like and like my respect matters. But this is why you get the respect of somebody like me who's somebody who's just like I I I love acting so much that it's like it bothers me when a person don't sell you on the role. And you know, and some people can't help it because like Denzel is so darn great now that you don't see Denzel. I mean, you don't see the roles he plays. You see Denzel playing some role. You know what I'm saying? Samuel L. Jackson is another one. He's reached a certain peak to where as though now every role you see him in, you just see Samuel L. playing as this guy who happens to be in this movie with Marvel characters. Like, you know what I mean? Will Smith, he's reached a peak where, you know, even though he's trying to be other people, he was trying to be Venus and Serena Pop. No, you just seen is Will Smith talking with a lisp. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, this is just some people just they've acted and they hit so many different peaks and ranges and things like that that they know you no longer can see them. Only there's only a handful of actors that can still sell you on, whereas though they lose themselves in the role, whereas though now I see that character Jamie Foxx, who doesn't get enough praises
Right.
in his level of being an entertainer, from being a comedian to being a R&B singer, to having a wide range of his acting capabilities. Man, Jamie Foxx, every time he steps on screen, and he hasn't gotten old to the point or he's reached that actor's peak where all of a sudden now it's just Jamie Foxx playing Django. No, I've seen Django. Okay, like Ray Charles. That was, you couldn't tell me that wasn't god darn Ray Charles. Like, you know what I mean? Like, he plays roles where you see the character that he's trying to portray versus uh uh just Jamie Foxx playing a character. Like, you know. and that's what it was for me. It was like Michael. I see Michael B. Jordan trying to be this character versus, the character. You know what I mean, and knowing that there's Michael B. Jordan under it. And it's not too many people that immerses themselves so well in a role, and he did it with Sinners. And if he could keep on giving performances like that, I mean, that boy is going to be bad hit from here on out, man. The sky's is the limit.
Okay.
You want to
OG
ask the question?
had a question. Corey Holcomb. Do you enjoy his comedy?
All right. And this is
Here we go again.
I don't. I can just say it. I don't.
This is prior. This is prior to all the hot water he found himself into. Corey Holcomb. I also look at comedy as now being a newly comedians that, like, I still look at it as like homework. You still, what I mean, even if a comedian isn't that great, there's still things that you can learn from them. So far as just from the comedy wood shop of just doing homework, he's still a great comedian to kind of do your studies on and see how he approaches things. He has a very unorthodox way of how he approaches his comedy, but and it's not just because it's okay to poo-poo on somebody because they're having a downward spiral or whatever. I wouldn't say that he's not somebody that I would say is my go-to. If I had to pick him or Aries Spears, I'm going to Aries Spears. Like, Aries Spears to me, Aries Spears to me is hilarious. Corey Holcomb is somebody who is while being funny is not, he hasn't always been overly hilarious to me, but he's still a great comedian. And I think his contribution to the game still shouldn't can't be completely dismissed, even with all the things that he's under heat for right now. But nah, I wouldn't say he's at the top of my radar.
Yeah. I'm not a
So,
fan. I just made that plain. I'm not a fan. I've never been a fan. It has nothing to do with whatever he's going through now. I have never thought he was funny. Yeah, never. I just never thought he was funny. I always thought he was just a crass a-hole. That's how he makes me feel and think about him. I just never thought he was just telling jokes and just being funny. He can't just tell a joke without putting down somebody or humiliating somebody. He has to, because he's not funny. He's not unique in any way. So he doesn't have anything to talk about. That's my feeling. That's my feeling.
I can't say that. I've been watching Corey for a while. I've seen Corey actually work and actually do, jokes without talking about anybody. So
Rarely.
I can't say that.
So when I say he never, I don't mean that literally.
In the literal sense.
I mean, but like, it's so rare that you can probably
one time.
That one time.
Well, early Corey before he got too vulgar. Early Corey was different. So but later on Corey, you know what I mean, is a whole other situation. Yeah. Corey on Wild 'N Out is a whole different dude than that Corey.
See, I didn't even like him on Wild 'N Out. I thought he was the least funny on Wild 'N Out. That's just what I thought. He's just one of those. 150? No. He's just one of those comedians that have never hit my spot for me. I just no.
Yeah. And it's like that, like, and it's like
who else is like that? Ricky Smiley. Ricky Smiley has never been funny to me. I love Ricky Smiley.
Everybody pilot.
I love Ricky Smiley. I love him. When he does the when he talks about his kids and when he talks about school, like the universities, and when he talks about the church lady and stuff, that's funny to me.
I was just about to say,
but I mean, his iconic work is funny to me. But he's not somebody that I'm just dying to go see is what I mean. I don't dislike him as much as I like Corey, as I dislike Corey. But I'm saying he's just not as funny to me as other people find him to be, is what I'm trying to say. Not very well either, but that's it. I'm not saying he's not funny. He's just not as funny as people tell me he is. And if you haven't bought his book, you need to buy his book. His book is great. His book is phenomenal. Ricky Smiley. Okay. The book that he wrote about the grief from his son passing away. If you are dealing with grief, you need to get the book. That's what I'm gonna tell you. It's helped me. I can tell you that.
Yeah, but see, and that's the thing that goes back to what I even said earlier. Like, with entertainment business, man, it's so big of a field that there's enough for all of us to eat. There's enough for all of us to eat. It's not like, because you do comedy, I do comedy, I can't look out for you now because I'm scared that you're gonna be bigger and better than me. Like, no.
Well, but whatchamccallit? Isn't that the same thing about podcasting as well?
It's the same thing. Anything entertainment based, because at the end of the day, people who want to like you are going to like you. People who want to like me is going to like me. And the thing is, there's always going to be money to be made because, I mean, prayerfully, we fast forward in the next couple of years, and you see me on major tickets and things like that, and you're gonna be like, dang, you like, hey, I'm about to go out tonight to go see that guy, whatchamacallit. And guess what somebody gonna say to you? Oh, I don't find him to be that funny.
That's cool.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. like he ain't that funny to me.
People tell me that DL's not funny all the time, and I just shake my head and say, okay.
And I avoid saying that, but I respect his contribution. His contribution, and he has his moments for me, but to me, from a consistency standpoint, again, like, what I mean, he just doesn't do it for me. That's my pilot, though. You just said Ricky Smiley doesn't do it for you from a consistency standpoint,
right?
But Ricky Smiley is not a single time he hasn't had me on the goddamn floor, like, you know what I mean. So it's just everybody's palette is different, you know what I mean. And this is why it's the entertainment business at the end of the day. Hey, like, you might be willing to go put out your money to go see a DL Hughley or whatever like that. You're not going to be willing to put out your money to see a Ricky Smiley, and that's fine. But I don't have to put down one or the other just to uplift the other one or whatever like that. They're great in their own. They're great in their own spaces or whatever like that. And whoever it is that you enjoy, pay your money, go and go support that person. You know what I'm saying? Like, listen, like that's just what it is, So like I said, people gonna feel the way about me. I have people even from a booking standpoint, because some of the people who are going to book you and put you on the shows are other comedians, and they might not care for your comedy. And guess what? You're going to get passed up by that person because they don't care for your comedy that much. I've had people tell me no. In my short time of doing it, I don't have that many no's, as y'all can see, but at the same time, I've had people tell me no from the retrospect of they might have caught me at an open mic and I might have had an off night that night, and X, Y, and Z, hey, you got to work on this, you got to work on that.
I would rather I'm sorry to cut you off. I would rather the no than the string along. Okay.
Yes.
So, like I always say, don't Varnell Hill me. I always say
right.
Do not Varnell Hill me. I always say that. Listen, you don't bang with me, just don't bang with me. It's cool. Maybe another place, another time, things will be different. But don't Varnell Hill me.
I agree with you. I'd rather
you just be like, no, you know what? You ain't this town. Okay, cool. I'll work on it.
Yeah. I mean,
I know. Wait a minute. Let me get this all the way out of the way. Now, I had him booked for a couple weeks ago when we had the lady on. And he was like, yo, what happened to the show? And I forgot we had the lady booked. The one that just did the singing. I forgot her name. Jasmine.
Okay.
Yeah, I double booked. And I was like, I done messed up the booking. I said, I know he think I done Varnell Hill. That's the first thing I thought in my head. I know he think I done Varnell Hildy, man. I'm like, no, I ain't Varnell Hildy. Because I hate that feeling. That's why I don't want to do that to nobody else.
Right.
Bringing it back around to me.
Yeah, I agree with you. I'm sensitive about that too. I would
I
never do
mean,
that to somebody.
it
Mhm.
it it happens, you know what I mean? It happens. Nobody in walking this earth is perfect, you know. Even with, us trying to what this is about almost three weeks to a month in the making right here. Like, you know what I mean? One week it wasn't going on, then the following week I wasn't available, different things like that. And shoot, for real, when you hit me up the other day, I'm like, I didn't even know I was supposed to be on. I was like, you didn't, you know what I mean? So it was like, but thankfully I'm available, and you know, and that's just the thing about just this weird space or whatever like that. You have some people that will, you know, like we talked about pricing themselves out, but try to overemphasize like how important they are and different things like that. And it's like dude, listen, we all trying to make it. We're all entertainers in our own right, you know what I mean? Just because y'all are the interviewers and I'm the interviewee, and y'all don't do comedy, it's no, let me hold my chest out or something like that, like y'all like beneath me or something like that. Like, no, we're not in the same genre. Like, you know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, like my grandma always said respect is due to a dog. You know what I mean? So at the end of the day, like, I'm always approach people with the respect, no matter how big or small the platform is. You're opening up your doors to me or whatever the case may be. Hey, let me just tell you what it is, and make myself available if I can. And if not, that's just what it is or whatever like that. Like, you know what I mean? People will people will almost bend over backwards for like if this was Gilly and Wallow in them, and because they know how big the platform is or whatever the case may be, and almost like kiss up or suck up to them. And it's like, nah, but like, hey, this one could have, you don't know who somebody is. Y'all could be the gateway bridges to somebody getting on that platform. Like, who knows? Like, I mean, treat people with respect, you know what I mean, and respect people's time and different things like that. And I think long as you have the right idea in mind, that like, hey, listen, this was my intentions. Forgive me, X, Y, and Z. And if we can just communicate like adults, you know what I mean? Listen, I mean, that person should get over it. I don't have to be like, oh, you double booked and you had this person on and I got more followers than her, and like I should have took a precedence to that week or whatever
I'm
like that,
not
because that's
ever
when I was.
doing that. Let me just get that out there. I'm not ever doing that. I'm not ever doing that. Now I'm gonna make
Yeah,
sure I'm not ever doing.
people think
If
they
you put
followers is
somebody else
currency.
on, if you put somebody else on because that's the way you feel about the other person, then so be it. That's just is what it is.
Mhm.
If I didn't get on in,
Get me in
I'll
when
get
you
on.
can.
All
Mhm.
right. That's exactly how I feel. Like if I ain't get on that, then I get on when I can. I used to, and I'm not gonna say used to. Around the beginning of this year, in January, I was feeling some type of way about certain things. So I do have those type of thought processes, but I don't act on them. Those are just
You're
thought
human.
processes that I have in my house.
You're
Mhm.
human, bro.
Right.
You're
And
human, bro.
I felt
And
as though like, hey, why such and such ain't, why he ain't post me? Or why she ain't post me? Then after a while, I was like, you know what? I'm posting me. I ain't worried about nobody else. I'm gonna post me so much, you're gonna have to delete me. That's what's gonna
yeah.
happen.
And it's funny you said that, because a friend of mine, who's a comedic actor, Tasha Mack, I'll name drop, Tasha Mack, who is somebody who me and her kind of were tied at the hip, as far as my start into comedic acting and putting on
Yes.
sketches on YouTube and different
I
things like
seen the
that.
sketch y'all put out there when you got real close to her face and that.
Oh yeah, and I had to choke her out and stuff
Yeah,
like
yeah,
that.
the sugar out. Yeah.
Listen, man, I love Tasha Mack, but I know she's been injured quite a few times on the set of making some stuff with me. You know what I'm saying? We push the extremes sometimes, but um yeah, but she mentioned to the statement that she made. She mentioned to it on a interview that she was on about, like, like how, like, she's just in this rare space of where, as though like, hey, she put her stuff out there to the world. She don't care how many views the stuff gets. She don't care, like, like people liking and sharing it and things like that, X, Y, and Z. And basically a lot of times, people who kind of like tend to, look for those type of things. That's why they start to hold on to the resentment and things like that. Like, oh, why this person ain't post me, or why this didn't happen, why that didn't happen. And um to piggy on what you were saying, I think people like herself, myself, different ones, like when sometimes you just so in love with the art, you know what I mean? You're just in that rare space where it doesn't matter. Like, hey, I'm gonna do it or whatever like that. I'm not gonna look for somebody to post me and different things like that. And but also what I would say to kind of like also combat like a little bit of what she was saying, because I also deal with this with my the homie Nazi Stacks, that he goes viral every other day for something that he puts up from like a podcast quote. And I think when you're in this rare space of when you have over like a certain amount of followers or whatever like that, you stop worrying about your follower count. You start worrying about like how many people I'm following versus how many people they aren't following. When you get into this rare space of, hey, I done went viral several times, or I'm averaging anywhere from 20,000, 50,000, 100,000 views on things like that. I'm averaging, 300 likes, 400 to 500 likes to thousands of likes on content that I'm putting out, that you do get into this rare space of, hey, I don't care about the outcomes and things like that. But when you're building and you know where you were at one point in time, it matters because you're in the maturation process of it all. You know what I mean? And it doesn't matter to the degree of like, hey, I'm hanging on to, no, like this got to get 100 likes, or if it don't get 100 likes, I'm deleting it and I'm gonna put it back up again, or it's not to the degree of, you know, of like, it's just that, like, because when you're like, one, art is precious. You want people to be seen, you want to be seen and things like that. And a part of the reasons why I created certain platforms is because I didn't want to rely on my relationships. I can name drop till I'm blue in the face from people who I follow, to they followed me, to who phone numbers and different things like that I got.
Right.
And it'll start looking like the blue check Olympics out here or whatever like that. But at the same time, they went through the same maturation process that I'm going through right now, and I'm trying to reach a certain plateau or whatever like that. And the reason why I've created a lot of the platforms and the things that I've been on is because I've never wanted to feel like, oh, I had to rely on somebody else's to contribute to my successes. I wanted to create something that people will view and respect, and then because you're successful in there, and I feel like we have a relationship, that then you can then be a catalyst to help and boost in my platform. And that's the only thing I would say, is that, like, like, hey, yeah, you don't view it, you don't care about the likes and stuff like that, but it does matter. Yeah, I mean, and the support does matter, because you know how you support people. It's like, hey, like, I mean, I'm not doing the counting Olympics or whatever like that, like, oh, like, you posted up some stuff of mine today or whatever the case may be. You know what I mean? I one of the favor is going to be returned, but at the same time, it's not going to be like, what I mean? I'm not about to sit up here with like, okay, well, damn, even if I do post something to yours or whatever like that, or whenever I do get around to it, it's not like, okay, next time now when I post something else again, I'm looking like, yo, man, why he ain't post this one? I mean, that's when it becomes a little bit on the weird thing,
Yeah,
but
I don't do
you
that, but
you are taking a
what I
mental
do.
note of who's supporting and who's not, especially people that you've been supportive of. And also, when you see, I hate to say it, when you see your own homies and they done support, and they throwing up everybody else's goddamn podcast, and here it is, you they homie, and they ain't throw up a clip, nothing.
Hey, that was me in January. Okay, so I can talk about it now since you said that. That was me in January. All right, so I'm around a couple of my homies, and they subscribing to all these podcasts, and I'm like, you ain't even subscribed to mine. But I was like, you know what? That's because I ain't hit the floodgates like I was supposed to. That's all it is. I ain't hit the floodgates like I was supposed to. And I said, you know what, friend, I'm for the floodgate. I had a homie hit me up because I now do content with Attack on Cowboys, right? I do content with Attack on Cowboys,
Sure.
which he's like top 5 in Dallas Cowboys content, right?
Okay.
So I do content with him, and he hit me up and he was like, "Yo, I see you on the podcast. I see you popping." He was like, "Man, you on YouTube now?" I said, "Dog, I've been on YouTube since I started. What you talking about?" I'm like, "What you talking? I've been on YouTube since I started." He's like, "Yeah, I see you came with my algorithm." I said, "I've been putting out these videos since the beginning, dog."
Nah,
That's what I'm saying. But I didn't say that to him. But in my head, I'm like, that's all the stuff I said. But when I said to him, I was like, "Hey man, thanks man, keep supporting." That's all I said.
right. That's
But in
it.
my head, I'm sitting there, I'm like, "Dog, I've been on YouTube the whole time."
Yeah. That I ain't gonna sit here and fake the funk with you. That still bothers me. The fake and tune person, I just act unbothered by it. But it's like the fake and tune person is like the worst. Like like that is the worst like criminal like act to be in somebody's face and to act like you're in tune to what they're doing and you don't know what it is that
No,
they
no,
do.
no, you have no
You
idea.
know, like for instance, I'm a fan of Talent the comedian, and but I didn't start going down the list of things that I seen him on because one, I didn't want to sit here and lie to this man.
Right,
You know what I mean? I've seen him on a bunch of stuff, but it's been years. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, hey, I don't want to mention this, and he'd be like, oh, I never was on that show.
right.
But
Talent,
I know I've
the
seen
king
you
of New
on
York.
something. I know I've seen you on something because Talent has was one of those comedians that has stuck out to me before. He's not somebody who's always on some syndicated station or something like that. So you catch him when you catch him, and other than that, you just have to be a fan of comedy genre to to know when he's popping out at a show and different things like that. I'm just now starting to be in tune with that aspect of the world or whatever. So I didn't want to sit here and lie to that man in his face, talk about some
Did you
yo man.
did
I
you work
seen,
with him yet?
yeah, I just opened up for him last week.
Okay, that's cool. That's cool.
Yeah, he does this thing, orthodox comedy or unorthodox comedy, with him and it was him and OG Capone that was on there. They
Oh, they
did
was
the
at what you call them?
Wilsons.
Wilson's.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
yeah, they do the main show portion is the unorthodox comedy, and then they have a segment that they do in the beginning half, while they getting themselves prepared and everything like that, called the New Faces of Comedy. And shout out to my girl Jakai Bishop, who is that's the segment that she hosts herself, and she brought myself and a couple of other very funny comedians up there, and I was just so elated and grateful for the opportunity, and it was just a full circle moment because me and Talent was able to meet as comedians, not as a fan this time, but as comedian compadres at the brunch so funny that he did about a
Yes.
month or so ago with Ray. And we hung out afterwards or whatever the case may be because he had another show he had to get to. And I say, listen, I say, hey, like, and I'm one of these people. I'm very humble because, like, a lot of times I don't like to follow the big names unless I know you're going to follow me back. But like I told him, he's somebody that I have too much respect for, and I and much like Ray, I'ma earn that follow. Like Ray didn't follow me the whole time throughout class or whatever like that. But once graduation was approaching and stuff like that, and he seen how serious I was, and he seen that I was working, he seen that I was getting put on shows and different things like that. This is even prior to us doing the graduation. He gave me that follow. And sometimes you gotta earn people's respect for that follow.
Yeah.
Talent, like I told him, I said, hey, I know that you're possibly not gonna follow me back, or whatever the case may be. That's fine. I said, but do you answer DMs? Long as I know that you answer DMs, hey, I'm gonna send you over my information, different things like that. And like I told him in there, like, hey, you know what I mean? It was great meeting you. Hopefully our paths will cross in the near future. You know what I mean? And who knows, it was going to be a month or so later that, like, here it is. I'm opening up for him and stuff like that. So,
That's
you know what I
great.
mean? Listen, you know what I mean? Like you just be humbled in your approaches. have a good heart in how you approach stuff. You're a human being. You have feelings, so it's okay to feel like, you know what I mean. I hate when people try to get on here and be like, hey, I act so unbothered to buy things because that's not how you get. No, I'll be pissed the hell off when people don't support, people don't post me, people don't do that.
I
People,
used to be.
I don't
I'm
get the
not.
views and stuff like that. I feel like I deserve. I'm a human being, like, I'm saying. But at the end of the day, I don't try to wear that and let that be the end all be all, as if I can't continue to be great and continue to make great content. You know what I mean? And yeah, it's a sore thumb sometimes when it's like people that you've known for years, especially when they even have the following in the backing to kind of like, hey, if they give you a shout out, or they come to your platform, they do something like that, it may give you some type of boost and ticks and things like that, and they don't. It hurts. Like, trust me, as out of all the names that I've had on my podcast, and I've done had some of the best on there. I told you, Big Fendi, Ray Cafe, Maul at the time when he was still with the Joe Budden podcast at the time. Um, shoot, DJ EFN from Drink Champs.
Right.
The list can go on. DJ Drama, Core, you name it. Then had some names on there, and these are people. I hate to say it, that their popularity surpasses the amount of Instagram followers they have. You know what I'm saying? Some people popularity only stops at their Instagram following. Like, you know what I mean? It's not like you're out here being a paid act or anything like that, and it surpasses your Instagram following. And I hate to say it, that a lot of my homies that do have the Instagram following and different things like that, you know what I mean, have yet to get on my platform.
Oh, stop.
But yet here it is. I
Stop.
have people who are actual celebrities who actually get paid for their craft, and
Come
here it
on
is.
with
They
no
took the
problem.
time out to
Come
join
on
my
with no
joint.
problem. Like, they just got finished. I've had comedians just got finished doing a show Friday night. Didn't even get no sleep. Woke up Saturday morning, had no problem coming on. I got other people. They wasn't doing it. You know what? I'm supposed to stop cussing. Let's just say they wasn't doing nothing. Okay, they wasn't doing nothing. Ain't even show up, and I was just like, and then they'll see me, and every time they see me, hey man, when you gonna have me on the show? And I'll just be like,
Oh yeah, that
okay.
burns me up. Don't ask me when you gonna have me on the show. Like, I didn't invite your ass already 3 and 4 times.
Listen. I don't get into that.
You only
I don't
got you
let.
only got a
So
certain
a
amount of
lot of
times
this,
to play in my face.
I'm gonna be honest with you, man. And you've been in this game longer than me, but a lot of this now, because this is all digital. So you ain't got to come to the studio. You ain't got to look for parking. Like,
Nope.
you just got to have a phone and have a quiet place. That's all you got to do.
That's it.
That's
I
it.
got it so convenient that long as you got a phone in a quiet place, you can get on. We can talk. We can have a good time. That's it. And so I eliminated a lot of reasons for you not to be on.
Right.
It still ain't coming on. So at the while, like I told Shan before, I just don't think that they mess with me. That's what it is. I don't think they bang with me.
That's
And
what it
Shan
is.
is sitting there and talking about, I don't think it's that. No, I don't think they bang with me. I'll be honest with Shan.
Well, that's and what do I say? Well, if it's that way, there's plenty more out there that will come. So
That's
don't
it.
even worry about it.
That's just what it is, man. That's what it is. I'm not gonna count. I'm not gonna hang on to the blessings I haven't received. I'm gonna just count the blessings that I'm getting. That's
And I'm
it.
That you
getting
Like, you know what I
got.
mean?
exactly. I got
got.
blessings. I got like I said, I got two ready to come on the show. Wasn't the
Yep.
issue. I got Sean Jones to come on the show. Wasn't the issue. I got Lamar Todd as a comedian to come on the show. Wasn't the issue. I got you to come on the show. Then wasn't the issue. There's
We
other
just
people I
we
asked to
just
come
got to
on the
get
show.
to Ray back now.
Yeah, we get two
I've
right
been
back.
wanting to Ray back
There's
forever.
a couple more comedians I will have
Rich
back on, but
conversations with that, man. I ain't gonna hold you. Rich conversations, man. A
yes, it
bevy of
always is.
information. Yeah.
Mhm.
I mean,
Well,
for
you
real,
got it.
for real.
You already know me and him play Madden together. You got to
Okay.
hear the trash he talk on that. Oh my god!
Yeah. I mean, Two Ray's one of those guys, you like, for real, you just say, you just hit play, go. Long as you could get a good question to get him started up, just fall back, let him do the rest. Like, you
Yeah.
Just
know what I
let him
mean?
do it. Yeah,
Fall back and let him do the
he
rest. He's
good.
a great showman, man. And for, like I told him, even with the Philadelphia Comedy College, man, some like it was the first time being in a space with him, and then as consistent as it was, because I'm like, at first I'm thinking of, a lot of times people got big heads, and I'm like, yo, I don't think. And to me, it's like the first time it just realized, I'm like, yo, I don't know if Toure know who he is as big or as iconic as as some people revere him to be. Like, you know what I'm saying? Because I'm like, damn, I didn't think he was gonna be in the class every Tuesday. Like, you know what I mean? I'm like, he's actually here. Like, you know what I mean? He's the reason why I joined the class in the first place. You know what I mean? In the fact that he's here, he's present, he's attentive, and just seeing how his brain works or whatever like that. It's just one of those things that, like, yo, he's very humble um and I know he'll be the first one to tell you that, like, yo, like, he don't have certain things and different things like that from his own militia or whatever like that. But far as his iconic ism, and we're gonna make up our own words, I don't care. Iconic ism, listen, from a Philly perspective, bruh, like, what I mean, it don't
Not
get no
just
bigger than
not
Toure.
just Philly. I want to really say like the whole tri-state. Matter of fact, I would say going all the way. I would say going all the way down to 13 colonies. That's what I would say. Going all the way down to 13 colonies. The guy can tell you about every comedy space that ever existed going down to 13 colonies because he's worked them. Like
Right.
that's the kind of things that I sit there and then he sits back and he tells you the business of the game. That's the best thing I love hearing from him.
Yeah.
When he sit back and tell you the business. Like I remember when he started the whole brunch so funny, which is now about to be 3 years at City Winery, but he was doing it before then, and it was at a school in South Philly, which they turned into an event space, during the weekend. I guess don't get me lying how that went. But and I seen people coming in there talking smack like, "Oh, we sitting here in this school cafeteria," and I'm looking, and I seen people that was like not on the show talking smack, but I'm looking, I'm like, y'all talk about, but this joint packed. There's 200 people in here, packed.
Right.
Like they had to pull out extra chairs, packed, and I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah, he got it going on, man. I don't know what y'all talking about. Like he need a bigger stage. Like that's what I'm looking at here. Like. You need a bigger stage. And I like that. Then we went from there. Then he went to City Winery. And like I said, I remember when after he left Warm Daddies, I remember he went to Punchline. And this was during the pandemic. And I'm in line in Punchline. And I heard his voice. I didn't know he was there. I just heard his voice. And I was like, oh, we got a living legend in the house. And the guy who was patting me down was like, who's a living legend? And I'm like, Toure, man, that boy got 30 years of comedy, and you don't know who Toure is? That's how he was talking. I was like, man, he got no clue, man. He got a living legend in the house, man.
Bro.
Appreciate the greatness, man.
And the fact that you could say his name now in the comedy space, people know who he is, but people who are just fans or obviously casual fans, what I mean, the name doesn't shoot off the page for you or whatever like that. But man, when you hear him, he's his best representation of himself, because I mean, listen, like, even if you haven't heard of him, once somebody's mentioned his name to you and you go to do your research on your own, you won't be disappointed.
Sure won't.
You won't be disappointed at all, man.
At all.
Yeah.
But listen, we done kept you in here a long time. I'm gonna let Sharon give her a 5-star shout out, and we gonna end out of this drink. We done took all your time. We in the afternoon now. We done left the morning.
Right.
That's just to let you know how much we talking.
Yeah. Well, when coming from that talkative background, when she's done with that, can I just give a few of my future show rundowns?
Oh yeah, that's how we always end. Yeah, we get that. Mm-hmm. All right, so I do what's called a 5-star shout out. It's just 5 questions, and they're rapid fire, 1-word answers, no explanation, because why, none of that, just answer. And we're gonna go on to the next one. Dennis loves this, so I do it for him. Anyway.
Okay, this is unique.
Yeah, 5-star shout out. You ready?
As ready as I can be.
All right. Ali Sadiq, or Cat Williams?
Ooh, I'm gonna have to say Cat.
A WNBA team coming to Philly? Yes or no?
Yes, need it.
Has legalized sports betting decreased the integrity of pro sports? Yes or no? You think?
I'll say yes.
Sugar or salt on grits?
Ooh, salt. Hell no, no sugar.
My
All
God.
right, here's the last one. Here's the last one. Here's the last one. Who's the GOAT? Michael Jordan or LeBron James?
I got three. I'm sorry. I'm
Nope,
sorry. I know it's
nope.
supposed
One
to
or
be more.
two. That's it. One or the
Trust me,
other.
it's going to make sense in the end. LeBron James, LeBron James, LeBron James.
All right, that's it.
Sorry.
Those are my 5 questions.
All right.
That's it.
Sorry.
No, there's no need to apologize, but go ahead and tell people
I wasn't apologizing.
go
I
tell
wasn't
the people what's coming up for you and where they can find you and so forth.
Well, as y'all can see, I spell my Wutchamccallit very uniquely. Wutchamccallit, which is a playoff of my last name, being as though my last name is McCall. So Wutchamccallit, I am your guy. You know what I mean? I like to tell people sometimes I'm smooth, I'm chocolate, and I could be a little nutty sometimes. So in some ways, I am kind of like the candy bar.
The candy bar. Hey,
yeah.
yo.
So, but yeah, man. I got a few shows coming up. As y'all know, I got I'm gonna be in the Crab House this weekend with Tommy Too Smooth, who's a great legendary comedian. Excuse me, as well. You know, and a few of my comedic compadres is coming through to bless the stage with us. Uptown B, my guy Jay Harris, and my lovely compadre Auntie Kathleen. Come out and get these laughters this weekend, as well as you can also catch. All right, now the alarm going off now. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
but you can also catch me and Auntie Kathleen in this comedy competition that has been going on in a March Madness stylistic way, called Holla, Make You Holla for a Dollar, which is held here in Southwest, 62nd and Grays. Y'all can come through and support us. We are down to the final 4 comedians. It started off with 32. And we down to the final 4. Myself, Auntie Kathleen, Clutchy, a comedian by the name of Clutchy, and a comedian name of Bucky Carlson. We are the final 4. We are looking to now proceed on to the final 2, which will be ultimately the championship round. So you know, hopefully I can get y'all well wishes and also your support as well if y'all come out. That's going to be held on Wednesday. In the upcoming month of April, I have the collective, which is a showcase that I'm gonna be featured on as a comedic act. I'm about to head out to New York. I'm not going to confirm it right now because right now things are looking sketchy. I might have to postpone one of the dates, if not both of the dates. But right now, look like I'm going to be at Cupboard, the Teeny Cupboard, on and out there in Brooklyn, the 10th, April 10th and April 11th. Um, I'm going to be on another Try Not to Laugh Volume 3. This time we're looking at April 19th. There's also another April 19th date for another show that I'm possibly going to be on. And forgive me because the name of that show is being blanked out of my head right now. But there's another show on April 19th as well. And then April 25th, I'm going to be on a show up at Buffalo Wild Wings with OC Diesel. Yeah, I mean, so I'm just trying to stay working. That's what April's looking like so far right now.
Which Buffalo Wild Wings?
We only got one, far as I know of. That's the one
Oh,
out
in Philadelphia.
northeast.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep,
I
yep.
didn't even know they did shows there. That's what's up.
Yeah. OC Diesel, who's a veteran comic in the game, man. Shout out to
I
OC
know
Diesel.
OCDs.
Yeah. He does some hosting over there, where he brings some comics over there to get some food and laughs. And he told me if I ain't shout him out that I wasn't gonna get my payment in wings. So had to make sure I did that. You know what I mean? Because a nigga need this Buffalo Wild Wings for real.
All right.
Make sure you fill out the app. You get 6 free wings.
Lemon
Yeah, you know
pepper.
what I mean? Shoot, I'm gonna have to fill out the
I
app
used to.
anyway to
I
get a
used to work
job
there.
afterwards.
I used to work there.
Oh
Just
yeah.
give me the lemon pepper.
Oh man, lemon. See, you should have asked me overhyped wings, and those are very overhyped, man.
No,
Lemon
no,
peppers,
they're
they
not
they okay. They
delicious.
I
You
overhyped.
understand where
ain't
you're coming from.
you ain't had the right ones if you just think it's okay.
I understand where you're coming from. I'm not a fan of lemon pepper. If you ask me, my favorite wings is mango habanero.
Look,
That's
I've
the
been
most.
Yeah,
eating
you like
lemon
that spicy.
pepper long before it became
I'm a
popular.
mango fan. Like I like mango water ice. I'm a mango
I
fan.
don't like mango at all. I don't like the flavor of
Thai
mango.
chili for me. Thai chili me.
That Thai chili is good, but I no. I've been like I said, I've been eating lemon pepper
They trying
way
to
back long before it got popular in the culture.
they
Okay,
trying to follow
you's
you
a
on
lemon pepper
YouTube.
stepper.
How they follow your YouTube? They watch
Oh,
your
how to follow?
socials.
Well, okay. If one come to my Instagram, which I'm
Which one
call it,
call it?
as y'all
You got that.
see, as y'all can see it listed on the screen. I believe that our names are on the screen somewhere.
Sharon
Which I'm
put you
call
down
it
there.
again is spelled WUTCHAMCCALLIT. Um, in my bio, the link in my bio, it goes to my website and it'll send you to my YouTube page, other interviews that I've had. Also still send you to my podcast. All those different things. You can find everything whatchamacallit from there. My YouTube still isn't properly popping up in the algorithm. So what you will have to do is you'll have to spell out my name completely in the search bar and also type out whatchamacallit comedian. And as long as you put comedian at the end, my YouTube page should pop up. But other than that, you won't get to they're gonna send you to the LMA song and old 1992 whatchamacallit snack bar commercials. So but yep. That's how you find me. I only got a couple of things up there right now. All they're all basically different filmings of the same set, but just you could still see the growth process of when I did my first showcase up until now. I'm eventually start posting some of my open mics on there too that I've done. Um from my very first time ever touching the mic and up until some of the ones even I think I'm gonna start posting some of the ones that haven't went well that so y'all
Yes.
can see that like
I
us as comedians it does happen. Um and because a lot of times people don't like to post their failures, but I think to especially when you believe, which I believe I am going to be a winner and I'm going to be successful, I want you to kind of see that hey, like yo, along the way everything wasn't hee hee ha ha. Like everybody wasn't just I wasn't drop dead funny every night I stepped out. So yeah. Yep.
yeah, I
So
had to
yeah, that's the
learn
game
to
plan.
I had to learn to repost stuff. I had to learn to repost stuff, and that's another thing I learned through Two Ray. He took a set he did at the Dell, I think in 2012, and reposted it, and it went
Yeah.
viral.
Yeah.
And I just took all I did was now mind you, I took a saying that I said about the 49ers in 2023 and reposted it this year when we lost to the 49ers this year, and that one went for I think 400,000 views.
Yeah, see? That's what's up. That's awesome, man. Listen, you never know what it's going to be. Listen, I mean,
You
I,
never know.
I'm not blessed to get that many views yet. You know what I mean? So one day when somebody of my stature could get on the level such as you guys, um, I know my Michael B. Jordan comments. You know, the first time posting it, I think it only got maybe like 500 views or whatever the case may be, and I think around this time is around about 1,400.
All
So
right.
um it's just you learning how to play around with that algorithm and stuff like that, and especially when something is a current event, you want that thing to get revisited. So, you know, yeah, it's a numbers game, and sometimes it's a subject matter game, and depending on when you play it, and I'm trying to get better with my content. So look out for new content along the way. I'm gonna get a little bit more active on my page, not just posting flyers or when I have events and stuff like that, but actually creating content. Right now, I'm in a toss up between rather if I'm probably gonna be doing skits and stuff like that as well. We got a couple, myself and a couple other comedians are talking about becoming more collaborative on doing things like that. But one of the things that I'm gonna do for myself, because of all of the backlash I've been getting for the Michael B. Jordan comments, uh I'm gonna probably start doing whereas though, hey, this is how I feel as though the lines should have been delivered, and might just start taking like little segments from movies where I feel like the lines weren't delivered as well, not just Michael B. Jordan, but just from movies in general, whether it's to be something, whatever, and reenacting those lines out.
That's different. That's
Yeah,
different.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So
Hey,
look
you
out for
gotta
that
hurry start.
content on
You
the
gotta
way.
hurry start posting them because if somebody else see this and start doing that, you're gonna be pissed off. Yeah,
I mean, it is what it is. You
because
know what I'm
I don't
saying?
see too many people doing that. Like I'm gonna show you how the line should have done.
Yeah,
No,
And
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I've never seen it
yeah,
neither.
that's what I'm saying. That's unique.
Mhm. That's very unique. Good idea.
But y'all heard it here first, all right? I mean, so now if it's one of y'all friends,
Breaking
I know
news.
where I'm starting at. I got a particular set of skills,
Right.
and I'm gonna confine y'all, But nah,
Breaking news. Breaking news.
Breaking
breaking
news.
news. I mean,
All right,
appreciate y'all.
chocolate girl,
Thank y'all
you got.
so much for having me on. And
Oh
hey, if
yeah.
y'all can make it out to a show, just let me know. You know what I mean? I post my
Mhm.
itinerary frequently or whatever. And if I could
Mhm.
take care of y'all in any way, if y'all just want to pop out, yeah, I mean, we could see to it. Just let me know.
All
No,
right.
no,
All
all
right.
of us support,
Well,
so don't even worry about that.
stay with us after he ends the show for about 5 minutes.
Okay,
So
Yeah.
stay
got you.
with us. Mhm.
Now, chocolate girl, you got any last final words? I really wanted to end on his final words, but you got any final words?
My final words is go follow him on his social media and YouTube. I put it all in the chat. Follow Dennis at Ignorant Thinkers Podcast. Put that in the chat. Follow me at the Chocolate Writer. I put that in the chat as well. So just
Oh, awesome,
get with the
awesome.
socials on all three of us, please. That's my final words.
That's right. And God bless y'all and great day.